Chapter 2099. When the huge black pupil poured into Yang Kai's body and merged with it, Yang Kai became a little confused. All kinds of negative emotions that have been hiding in the deepest part of his heart burst out at once as if they were being pulled by something at this moment, making his whole body exude an extremely evil aura. A series of complicated and complex magic lines climbed onto his skin, and with the influx of a large amount of magic energy, these magic lines became darker and darker. Power far beyond the first level of Daoyuan was brewing in his body, impacting his heart and ego, making him lost in the joy and pleasure of suddenly gaining powerful power, and a strong murderous intent emerged in his chest, and the desire to destroy, especially for flesh and blood creatures, has a strong desire to kill. His spiritual consciousness sank, wrapped in endless darkness, unable to see the slightest light, and could only become a member of the devil as time went by. But at this moment, in the endless darkness, a faint ray of light bloomed leisurely like a sharp blade tearing through the haze. The rays of light showed 7 colors, beautiful and magnificent. The 7 colors' glow penetrated the boundless devil energy and shone on Yang Kai's body, making him feel warm. It was like being frozen overnight in the cold nights of 3 or 9 days, and finally waiting for the moment when the sun shines. The evil spirit all over his body, as if he had encountered a nemesis, turned into puffs of green smoke and disappeared quickly. Yang Kai's consciousness that was about to sink suddenly regained consciousness for a moment. He gritted his teeth, and looked forward with all his eyesight. In the field of vision, a phantom of a lotus flower exuding colorful rays of light is looming. The colorful lotus is not big, compared with the boundless devil energy. It is like cloud and mud, but the place where it exists has become the last piece of pure land in this dark world. Colorful warming god lotus. Yang Kai's mind suddenly woke up, realizing that he had unknowingly transformed into a spirit body and entered his own sea of consciousness. And that 7-colored glow was obviously emitted by the 7-colored Wenshenlian. His heart skipped a beat, and he immediately ran towards the location where the colorful Wenshenlian was. After a while, he was already standing at the lotus stamen. The colorful rays of light enveloped him, dispelling the negative emotions all over his body, and when the black smoke flew out from his body, Yang Kai finally regained consciousness again. Looking around, the entire sea of consciousness is dark and boundless, and the map of stars that should exist above the sea of consciousness is not even bright at all. In this whole world, there seems to be nothing but the glow of the 7-colored warming spirit lotus. A huge single eye with black pupils was placed horizontally above the consciousness sea, looking down at Yang Kai coldly, without the slightest emotion. Yang Kai couldn't see it, but here was his sea of consciousness, and he could clearly feel it. From the black-eyed one-eyed, boundless oppression and willpower emanated, wanting to destroy Yang Kai's soul defense and defile his soul. But under the protection of the heaven and earth treasure like the 7-color warming spirit lotus, any invisible attack is enough to be purified by the rays of light. Not only that, but many small insects that are almost invisible to the naked eye are also shot out from the warming god lotus. Soul Eater. The strange insects that Yang Kai obtained in the Tongshuan continent in the early years, but with the improvement of Yang Kai's strength, they have been unable to play any role. For a long time, they have also been placed by Yang Kai in the warming god lotus to transform the colorful treasures. The islands left them to fend for themselves. After so many years of nourishment, their number has reached an unimaginable level. At this moment, it was beyond Yang Kai's expectation that Chi-Chi flew out from the warming god lotus and scattered in all directions. Wherever they passed, there was a crisp and sweet sound, and the ancient demonic energy that invaded Yang Kai's sea of consciousness was eaten away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soul-devouring insects can even devour magic energy. Yang Kai was greatly surprised. And with the passage of time, the size of these soul-devouring insects that devoured the demonic energy became larger and larger. They were a group of insignificant existences. Even if Yang Kai released the enemy before, the enemy could not see it at all. But now, in Yang Kai's sea of consciousness, their size is increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not only that, their body surface color has gradually turned dark, and complex and subtle magic patterns have begun to wrap around their bodies, one by one. The breath is very mysterious. After a short while, the soul-devouring insects became the size of a grain of rice and were still growing at a faster speed. In the sea of consciousness, the demonic energy was tumbling uneasy, as if they had their own thinking. They began to avoid the devouring of the soul-devouring insects, but this is Yang Kai's sea of consciousness, where can they hide? The clusters of demonic energy were like leaves being eaten by spring silkworms, and a large gap was soon exposed. Yang Kai watched silently for a while, not knowing whether this was a blessing or a curse, but since it was beneficial to his situation, he didn't bother to care about it. The next moment, with a thought in his mind, he drove the seven-colored warming spirit lotus to fly up to a certain place in the sky, facing the huge black pupil hidden in the boundless darkness. The devilish energy dissipated slowly, and finally black pupils appeared. Even in Yang Kai's sea of consciousness, it still occupied half of the sky, and Yang Kai stood in front of it, humble and insignificant like an ant. The seven-colored glow was disillusioned, forming a halo around Yang Kai's body, as if a celestial body was revolving, and the huge halo spread out all of a sudden. Get out, or be completely destroyed. Yang Kai's thoughts moved, and a thunderous sound descended from the sky. The thunderous sound was like an invisible sharp blade, piercing into the black pupil, causing its shape to twist and change for a while. It took a long time for the black pupil to stabilize again, and the huge pupil, which was as deep and dark as a black hole, still stood upright, motionless. Sure enough, without his own thinking, is there only Ping's remaining will? Yang Kai was thoughtful, although he had guessed before, but he was not too sure. But now, after some probing, he finally got the answer he wanted. The black-eyed one-eyed man no longer had his own thinking, only the remaining will of the ancient troll. After all, in the distant ancient times, countless Emperor Senior Realm powers destroyed it, and its own thinking disappeared long ago. That being the case, there is no way to communicate at all. Yang Kai's expression became serious, urging the power of the seven-color warming god lotus. The next moment, the colorful rays of light bloomed dazzlingly, turning into sharp blades, stabbing at the single eye of Haitong. But at this moment, the black-eyed single eye took a deep look at Yang Kai, and then slowly closed it. Between the heaven and the earth, a giant-like voice resounded, "You have the breath of a demon. I leave it to you, I leave everything to you, to witness the end of this world, to witness the demise of this world." The incomparable ferocious aura spread out leisurely, and the closed black eyes suddenly turned into a black light, shooting towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai turned pale with shock, and quickly guarded his mind to resist. At the same time, the seven-color warming god lotus also spun, and the endless seven-color glow turned into a barrier, trying to prevent the invasion of black light. But everything turned out to be in vain. The black light easily penetrated the barrier of the seven-color warming god lotus, tore up Yang Kai's defense, and directly penetrated into his body. The next moment, Yang Kai felt a heart-piercing pain in his soul, and the entire soul and spirit body couldn't maintain it, and it collapsed directly. Immediately afterwards, his consciousness returned to his body, and he opened his mouth to let out a roar, which was like a wounded beast roaring in the forest. Yang Kai was wrapped in the billowing demonic energy, unable to see his face and figure clearly. He tightly covered his right eye with one hand, and from that right eye, golden blood continued to flow and down. This is 10 miles away. Watching C and the man surnamed Fu were all dumbfounded. Since Yang Kai's sudden change to the present, they have seen the end from beginning to end, and they naturally have a vague idea of what happened. In their testimony, the pitch-black demonic energy covering tens of thousands of miles all poured into Yang Kai's body and disappeared in just a short time. Countless monsters all knelt down on the ground, but they didn't know what happened. The magic energy in their bodies disappeared at this moment, and it disappeared completely. And without the protection of the demonic energy, these extremely ferocious monsters all became extremely weak in a short period of time. Although there would be no danger of their lives, serious damage to their vitality was inevitable, and they all looked dazed. Not knowing what happened at all, the monsters panicked and ran away in a hurry. The sun returns to the earth, making people feel warm. But the man surnamed Fu and watching C felt cold in their hearts. Because they felt a coercion comparable to that of an Emperor Senior Realm powerhouse from Yang Kai who was 10 miles away, but this coercion was extremely evil. It seemed to be full of bloody aura, and the aura of the living with instinctive repulsion. The next moment, Yang Kai, who was trembling violently, suddenly calmed down. The big hand that was covering his right eye was slowly released, and he stretched out his hands in front of his eyes, as if he was examining something. In the darkness, two streaks of mysterious light shot out from the shock. One gold, one black. The golden vertical pupil of the left eye full of majesty, and the black horizontal pupil of the right eye full of chaos, all shake violently at the position of Yang Kai's eyes. The contrast is extremely sharp. What is this? The man surnamed Fu was almost dumbfounded. Even though he was born in Feixiong Palace, he still couldn't figure out what kind of monster he saw. And when his words fell, those two eyes with completely different colors suddenly looked at the direction where he and Watching Sea were. Not good. As soon as Watching Sea made contact with those two eyes, she suddenly felt her head sinking, and her pretty face changed drastically, and she shouted coquettishly, "Run away." While speaking, he pinched the Ling Ju in his hand, and with a bang, his whole body turned into hundreds of colorful butterflies, flying away in all directions. The man surnamed Fu saw that she left so simply. How could he not know that he saw a catastrophe in the theater? Biting the tip of his tongue hastily, spewing out a mouthful of blood, his whole body was wrapped in a layer of red light, and he retreated rapidly, blinking for dozens of miles. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Xianshu. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the first release to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 2100. I'm kidding. The man surnamed Fu has a powerful cultivation base of the third level of Daoyuan, so he can run for his life at a speed that is not unpleasant. In the blink of an eye, he had ignited blood and fled hundreds of miles away. Looking back with lingering fear in his heart, the man surnamed Fu couldn't help being stunned. In that distant position, there was no trace of Yang Kai. He seemed to have disappeared suddenly. The heart of the man surnamed Fu sank, and an inexplicable feeling of fear and fear spread. A chaotic spatial fluctuation spread ahead, and a pitch-black figure suddenly emerged. The figure was shrouded in boundless demonic energy, and the face could not be seen clearly, but the golden and black rays of light shining from the face made the man surnamed Fu feel like he was facing a formidable enemy. When he met these two gazes, his thinking couldn't help but froze, his consciousness was confused, and his spirit was turbulent. With a roar, he directly sacrificed his short spear, forming complex seals on his hand, and poured the source force into the short spear frantically. Shish! The short spear and its weird speed became bigger, and in the blink of an eye, it became a giant with a length of more than 10 feet. With a slight tremor, it shot directly at Yang Kai. This is the most powerful attack method of the man surnamed Fu. He has full confidence in his own attack. Even a strong Emperor Senior Realm would not dare to ignore such an attack. Yang Kai seemed to be the same as those demons. He had already lost his sanity, he only had bloodthirsty thoughts, and he had no intention of evading the coming danger. He still stood there in a daze. It wasn't until the short spear was about to reach his body that he instinctively threw a punch. The fist was wrapped in pitch-black millstones, solid and dark. Looking for death, the man surnamed Fu couldn't help being overjoyed. His eyes widened. He wanted to see the follow-up development. He wanted to see the ending of Yang Kai being smashed to pieces by his own blow. Boom! There was a loud noise. Yang Kai remained motionless, but the short spear close to him was hit by a violent force. The light on the 10-foot-long spear suddenly dimmed, and it suddenly manifested its original shape and size, and at a faster speed than flying, it fell into the distance and disappeared. What? The eyeballs of the man surnamed Fu were about to fall out. He couldn't believe what he saw. He rubbed his eyes hard and looked again. He did see that Yang Kai was unscathed. Just as he lost his mind, Yang Kai on the opposite side suddenly raised his hand. A large amount of pure magic essence overflowed from his body and spread to his arm, making the arm longer and bigger. In the blink of an eye, a huge pitch-black slap took shape and slapped the man surnamed Fu directly on the head. It's like a pitch-black mountain descending from the sky, carrying the power to destroy the world. The man surnamed Fu turned pale with fright, and was about to escape in a hurry. But what made him despair was that he found that the space around him had somehow become solidified and viscous, as if he had been imprisoned. He couldn't avoid it. The man surnamed Fu's face turned pale and bloodless. While shouting, he sacrificed a shield-shaped defensive secret treasure. After injecting the source power, the shield immediately turned into a barrier to block him. Not only that, he kept pinching Fa-Ju, and said quickly in his mouth, "Heaven, Earth, Zan, Wu." There was a burst of madness in the body. Before he could unleash this inexplicable secret technique, that pitch-black slap had already been slapped. Click! The barrier formed by the shield was like a mirror being shattered, cracked with numerous cracks, and directly disintegrated into pieces, failing to provide any protection. Immediately afterwards, the giant palm slapped on the man surnamed Fu. He only had time to let out a horrible scream, and then fell silent. The giant palm gradually disintegrated, and apart from a huge palm print, there was only a pool of muddy flesh on the ground. Under that palm, the man surnamed Fu couldn't resist the cultivation base of the third level of Daoyuan. He was killed directly, and all his secret treasures and even the space ring were smashed into pieces. The things in the space ring were permanently exiled into the void. After doing all of this, Yang Kai raised his head expressionlessly and glanced in another direction. Over there, watching C, who was fleeing separately from the man surnamed Fu, looked back in horror, her beautiful eyes trembling endlessly. Just now she vaguely heard a scream from a distant place, which made her terrified, and she fled even faster up. But at this moment, the space in front of her was blurred, and a dark figure blocked her way. How come? Watching C's pretty face changed drastically, and her heart sank to the bottom of the valley. She and the man surnamed Fu ran away separately, and then saw Yang Kai chasing him, but within a few breaths, Yang Kai had already chased him and killed him, and then blocked himself. It is impossible for even a strong Emperor Senior realm to achieve this level. Looking at the dark figure, feeling the violent and bloody breath emanating from that figure, watching C's face turned pale, and the corners of her mouth turned bitter. She didn't act hastily, but squeezed out a smile, showing her charm and amorous feelings in horror. The fact that the opponent can kill the man surnamed Fu in an instant means that he can also kill himself at will. It makes no difference whether she resists or not. Now all she can count on is to awaken Yang Kai's deepest mind. Little brother, watching C trembled and whispered softly, her voice had never been softer than before, let me go, please, you are blocking my way. Yang Kai didn't move at all, just stood there and stared at her quietly, as if he was looking at a stranger. The golden and black mysterious light from the position of those eyes made Qingxi's heart tremble, but she was helpless. It felt like a lamb facing a ferocious king of the jungle. Life and death depended on each other's thoughts. The only thing that makes Qingxi feel fortunate is that Yang Kai did not kill her as soon as they met, which made her see a glimmer of hope for survival. It's my sister, little brother, don't you remember me? Qingxi stroked the hair next to her ear, and continued to try. I don't know if it was her luck or misfortune, but when she said this, Yang Kai seemed to be moved, and the two color pupils shook violently again, as if his instinctive consciousness was fighting for something. Little brother, he saved your life just now. You don't want to kill me, just to repay your kindness, right? Qingxi's clothes were wet with cold sweat, revealing a beautiful and plump figure. With a big bean on her forehead, the sweat slid down his cheeks. His face was pale but still strong and calm. Roar! Yang Kai, who was wrapped in demonic energy, suddenly covered his head with his hand, and let out a low growl in his throat. Qingxi was startled, and hastily stepped back a few steps, but after thinking about it, with the opponent's current strength, no matter how far she retreated, it would be useless, so she couldn't help but wryly smiled, and simply stood still. If you don't speak, sister, go. Qingxi tried gently. Seeing that Yang Kai didn't respond, she was overjoyed and said, then let's not change the green mountains, and the green water will flow forever, and see you again. At this point, she once again displayed the supernatural power of turning into 100 discs, and suddenly transformed into countless colorful butterflies, fleeing into the distance like a gust of wind. But at this moment, the growling Yang Kai suddenly straightened up, stretched out his hand, and grabbed at the direction where the countless butterflies were. The 100 dishes were scattered, Qingxi's body reappeared, and her face was so ugly that she died. She suddenly became angry from embarrassment, and said coquettishly, what on earth do you want? If you don't say a word, if you leave and don't give up, just kill me. Yang Kai turned a deaf ear and grabbed her in one hand. Ah! Qingxi's heart turned cold on the spot, and she said in shock, I'm joking, why do you take it seriously? No, no. While speaking, he desperately encouraged Yuanli to resist. But now the gap in strength between her and Yang Kai is enough for the latter to easily crush her. Before the source force was raised, Qingxi felt her body tightened, as if wrapped by an invisible force. A feeling of suffocation struck, and the next moment, she was top-heavy, her consciousness was confused, and her eyes went black. When she reacted again, Qingxi stood blankly on an open field, her pretty face was snow-white. She turned her head and looked around, and found that the place was flat, surrounded by dense forests. The majestic wind was blowing, and it was cool and pleasant. This is not the astral world. Qingxi immediately felt the difference between this place and the star realm. She couldn't tell where the difference was, but she was sure that this place was definitely not the star realm. Dead, Qingxi stood there blankly. Death turned out to be not as terrifying as imagined, and he died without even feeling anything. Will you come to this kind of place after you die? Where was that annoying guy who flew to the holy palace before? Could it be that this is the legendary hell? Deep in her heart, she was thinking wildly, and Qingxi couldn't help feeling dizzy. actually didn't kill you, but sent you here instead. It seems, the main body's sanity is still there, at least I still have some of my own sanity. Suddenly, a thunderous sound sounded in Hua Qingxi's ear. The sound was as loud as the beating of war drums, which made Hua Qingxi jump. Who? Under the change of Hua Qingxi's pretty face, she shouted vigilantly, and turned her head to look around, but found no sign of anyone. Above, look up, the voice sounded again. With this reminder, Hua Qingxi quickly looked up. As far as I could see, 2 stone pillar-like existences stood beside me. She had seen these 2 stone pillars when she first arrived, but she hadn't gotten out of the state of death for a while, and she didn't think much about it. Taking a closer look at this moment, I suddenly found that these 2 stone pillars are somewhat similar to thighs, but they have no sensuality and are completely composed of strange stones. As her gaze continued to move upwards, Hua Qingxi's complexion also changed accordingly, from surprise, doubt to shock, all wonderful. After thoroughly seeing what the objects around her looked like, Hua Qingxi moved a few feet away with a single step. Looking from a farther position, Hua Qingxi finally saw more clearly. Her beautiful eyes trembled, and suddenly became messy in the wind. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2101 Emperor Venerable returns. Stone giant. Hua Qingxi held back for a long time before uttering a few words with difficulty. The scene in front of me was too unimaginable. The huge figure with a height of more than 10 floors, with sharp-edged figure and simple face, had a pair of bright eyes that did not match it, shining brightly. Shine. Every move of hand and foot seems to make the world tremble. It seems that the mountain troll awakened from the ancient myth gave Hua Qingxi an unimaginable shock. Stone giant, hee, that's the right name. Dharma body smiled lowly. Although he deliberately suppressed the volume, he was still shocked. Are you alive? Do you have your own thinking? Hua Qingxi is not an ordinary person. She was born in the Star God Palace, and she has naturally come into contact with many secrets that are unknown to the outside world. Then she came back to her senses and asked in a startled voice, but after thinking about it, she couldn't think of any creatures in this world that were similar to the thing in front of her eyes. Could it be that you thought you were dead? The Dharma body looked at Hua Qingxi shiftingly. Hua Qingxi's pretty face flushed, and she immediately became overjoyed, and asked, So, I'm still alive. By the way, you just said that he sent me to this place. Where is this? The Dharma body was silent for a moment, squinted and asked, Are you sure you want to know? Hua Qingxi frowned, feeling a sense of uneasiness in her heart, as if knowing where this place was would be extremely unfavorable to her, but she still showed a look of longing because of curiosity. Forget it, since he didn't kill you and sent you in, it means that you will never want to leave here again, so it's okay to tell you. Hearing what Dharma body said, Hua Qingxi couldn't help but her pretty face darkened, and immediately realized that her worries had come true. This is mysterious Shaoji, the inner space of the Emperor baby's boundary bead. Emperor treasure, mysterious boundary bead. Hua Qingxi screamed involuntarily, the expression on her pretty face changed, and she said in shock, You mean, this is a world of its own? It is the same level as the 5-color pagoda in my Star God Palace the presence. Almost. Fashion nodded, as if standing and talking was a little too tired. He sat down on the ground, crossed his knees, looked at Hua Qingxi and said, But in comparison, the 5-color pagoda and the mysterious boundary bead have their own advantages and disadvantages. Worse, the 5-color pagoda in your Star God Palace allows disciples to enter it to practice, and there are many mysteries. But the mysterious boundary orb is different. Its body is very small, it was refined by a powerful person, and it can be carried around. I say this, do you understand? Hua Qingxi nodded stiffly. She was born in Xingshan Palace, how could she still not understand the meaning behind the words of the Dharma body? The 5-color pagoda is the biggest treasure for the Xingshan Palace, and it is the foundation of the palace gate. Because countless disciples can go to the interior to experience promotion, understand the laws of heaven and earth, and absorb the power of broken laws. This is the top emperor treasure in the entire star world. As for the mysterious boundary bead, it is obviously comparable to the 5-color pagoda. Although it cannot allow people to gain benefits from practicing in it, it is more convenient to use than the 5-color pagoda. This is a priceless feast. And it is actually a martial artist of the first level of Daoyuan. Even if it is an ordinary emperor senior realm powerhouse, it is not easy to obtain an emperor treasure. An emperor treasure cannot be refined just by refining it. The birth of each emperor treasure requires countless years of accumulation and dedication. The blood of the strong poured in. The value of emperor treasure is far beyond Daoyuan level secret treasure. But now, a Daoyuan first level boat warrior carries one, and it is an emperor treasure that exists at the same level as the 5-color pagoda. If this kind of news spreads out, I am afraid that the powerhouses in the entire star realm will be boiling, and they will chase and kill Yongkai to seize the treasure. Can I pretend I didn't hear this secret? The corners of Hua Qingxi's mouth twitched. Now that she was sent into the mysterious boundary bead by Yongkai, knowing such a secret, it would be impossible for anyone to let her go. In other words, she will be imprisoned here by Yongkai for a lifetime. This made Hua Qingxi very annoyed when Qingzong didn't die. He scary. Dharma body laughed loudly. From the moment you were sent in, your future fate has been doomed. At this point, Dharmakaya's voice suddenly became low and said, he didn't kill you, obviously because he thought of your life-saving grace before, but his own condition is very bad, and he may not be able to control his desire to kill, so he forced you to kill me. Had to make this move. Is that so? Actually, it's not like you don't have a chance to leave this place again. What? Hua Qingxi was overjoyed when she heard the words, and asked anxiously. None, or be loyal to the main body and offer your own soul brand. Hua Qingxi's pretty face changed, and said, impossible. Everything is possible, girl, why do you have to say it so badly? Are you really willing to stay here for the rest of your life? Dharma body asked. Hua Qingxi fell into silence, with a struggling look on her face, and suddenly, she said again, the little bastard is in danger now, let's wait until he gets through this calamity. Dharma body nodded and said, indeed, you need to discuss this matter with him personally, I'm just giving you an opinion. Hua Qingxi's expression changed suddenly, and she said, by the way, why are you here? Speaking of this, she seemed to think of something, and said excitedly, could it be that you were also thrown into this mysterious small world by him? Did he force you to sacrifice your soul brand? She looked as if she had suddenly found a fellow in distress, her eyes were full of joy. With a strange expression on his face, Dharma body sighed, I have been imprisoned by him for tens of thousands of years. This scum. Hua Qingxi gritted her silver teeth tightly, and felt that something was wrong as soon as the words came out. She looked at the Dharma body suspiciously, and said, how old is he this year, how do you count the tens of thousands of years? The Dharma body stretched out its huge and thick fingers, scratched Bo's blunt cheek, and hummed, don't pay attention to these details, he is in trouble now, just take a look, do you recognize these people? While speaking, Dharma body suddenly waved his hand. In the sky between him and Hua Qingxi, a layer of ripples visible to the naked eye suddenly appeared, just like a lake, and then, a strange scene appeared in the sky. Hua Qingxi fixed her eyes and said suddenly, this spoon. She found that the scene presented in the air was exactly where Yongkai was. At this moment, Yongkai was still surrounded by a thick black beggar, only his pupils were emitting evil light. Not far from Yongkai, there were a total of 3 people, forming a triangle, surrounding him. Each of these 3 people was very angry and had an extraordinary demeanor. The person on the left is a middle-aged man, wearing plain linen clothes, although not bright, but neatly dressed, his eyes are like thunder and lightning, shining brightly. The person on the right, short in stature, half old, with white hair and beard but ruddy complexion, frowning at Yongkai, with a faint look of fear on his face. There is one person in the middle, a dignified and beautiful woman, with a cold temperament and a pretty face, wearing a moon-white long dress, adding to her mature charm. After Hua Qingxi was thrown into the mysterious boundary bead by Yongkai, at some point, these 3 people suddenly appeared strangely and surrounded him in a siege. Each of the 3 is a powerhouse in the Emperor Senior realm, and each of them is well known in the southern region, and they are also strong men that Yongkai has seen before. It's the adults of those forces. Hua Qingxi recognized the identities of the 3 with just one glance. Tell me, La Body said from the side. The one on the left is Master Chen Wenhao from Tianwu Holy Land, the one on the right is Elder Feng Mingfeng from Wuhua Palace, and the last one is Mrs. Gao Shui from Xingyang Temple. It's them. The Dharma body understood. More than a year ago, these 3 people came to Fenglinian to investigate the traces of Luanfeng in Yuqing Mountain. Later, they cast spells together with Xiao Yuyang from Xingshan Palace to open the 5-color pagoda from a distance, allowing Fenglinian warriors to enter and practice. Yongkai had naturally seen their Fengji figures before. Yongkai knew about them, and Dharma body had naturally heard of them. At this moment, when watching C reported their identities, Dharma Body couldn't help showing a worried look. Although Yang Kai's situation at the moment seems unstoppable and his strength is amazing, but the three people on the opposite side are all Emperor Senior Stage, and their backgrounds are extraordinary, so the main body may not be the opponent. What's more, the longer Yang Kai's current state lasts, the more difficult it will be. Once he is held back by these three people, he might really be corrupted by the evil thoughts and become a devil. It's saved now. Watching C didn't notice Dharma Body's worry at all, and she cried out with joy, and yelled at Dharma Body while speaking, "Big Stone, after these three adults subdue this little bastard, you can go out." Dharmakaya kept nodding his head, his face remained calm. Outside, Chen Wenhao and others stood still. The reason why the few of them came here was naturally because someone had left Feng Linyan's teleportation circle to report the news. The three major forces heard that the seal of the ancient great demon was broken, the pure demon energy leaked out, and the people around Fenglinyan were devastated, but they were not ambiguous and they directly sent the emperor-level powerhouse to investigate. Chen Wenhao and the other three, who had been to Fenglinyan a year ago, naturally became the first choice of targets, and they also took on this task without hesitation. The three of them started from their own sect non-stop, using countless space magic circles along the way, and rushed to Fenglinyan in the shortest time. But when they arrived at Fenglinyan, it happened to be the moment when the demon energy dissipated and the monsters regained their sanity. The three of them were suspicious, followed the vines to find the source, and blocked Yang Kai here. At this moment, the three of them were full of doubts. The little Feng Linyan first showed signs of a phoenix, and a year later, the seal of an ancient great demon appeared again, as if major events in the world were going to happen here, which made them all feel absurd. Yang Kai on the opposite side made them unable to see his face clearly, and they didn't know who he was transformed by, but the pure devil energy entangled in him gave the three of them a great sense of oppression. It seemed that the devilish energy was a fatal threat to himself, who was in the Emperor Senior realm. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Xi'an Shugongzi. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2102 1 against 3. The three of them flew all the way, and saw that all the monsters had recovered their sanity, except for this person in front of you, who was still surrounded by demonic energy and exuded a monstrous violent aura. "Who are you?" Chen Wenhao was the first to ask. He really wanted to know what was the reason. Not only did the monster in front of him fail to recover his sanity like the other monsters, but it was unbelievably strong. There was no response from the other side, only low-pitched roars could be vaguely heard from the devilish energy, like a mad beast. "Brother Chen, he should have lost his sanity, why are you talking nonsense with him?" Feng Ming said impatiently, staring at Yang Kai's figure with a pair of dark eyes. Gao Shueting didn't speak, her beautiful eyes glowed with radiance, as if she wanted to penetrate the strong devilish energy and see Yang Kai's true face clearly. But at this moment, Yang Kai seemed to feel something, and suddenly turned his head to look at her. The four eyes met, and an invisible collision broke out. With a sound of, "Wow," Gao Shueting's face turned pale slightly, and her delicate body staggered on the spot, as if she had been hit hard. There was a deep howling sound from the demonic energy, which seemed extremely suppressed and painful. Although the words were not clear, the three of them still listened to them, and knew what the monster in front of them wanted to express. A strange look flashed in Chen Wenhao's eyes, and he suddenly stepped forward. During his movements, he flicked his wrist, and a blue and white long sword appeared in his hand, and said lightly, "I'll try his tricks, you too, let me go." The words fell, but there was a soft sound. Chen Wenhao has turned into a stunning figure, rushing away like lightning and appearing in front of Yang Kai. Chiing, chiing, the sword light moved, the sword energy groaned, and the sword's momentum, which was as sudden as a gust of wind, rang out bursts of mournful cries. Clinking, the flames burst into the four poles, the energy splashed into the void, and the long sword was as fast as lightning and as dense as a rainstorm. After a while, Chen Wenhao retracted his sword and stood still, as if he had never moved. On the other side, Yang Kai's demonic energy outside his body did not appear cracks until now, as dense as a spider's web. Through the cracks, he could vaguely see that some of his body parts were exposed and his skin was covered with complicated magic patterns, but in these cracks in the tumbling magic energy have been restored to their original state in just the blink of an eye. Chen Wenhao frowned. Gao Shueting and Feng Ming were also extremely surprised. Yang Kai's difficulty was beyond their expectations. Death. As if completely enraged by Chen Wenhao's attack, Yang let out a roar, as if the king from hell blew the charge horn, and the devilish energy in his body rolled and howled like ghosts and wolves. Hoo-hoo, he suddenly disappeared in place. What? Chen Wenhao was really surprised. With the strength of his divine sense, he was unable to grasp the trace of Yang Kai's figure, and the speed of this movement had surpassed his cognition. He desperately urged the power of his spiritual consciousness to form an airtight surveillance network 10 feet outside his body, hoping to spy on Yang Kai's movements. Be careful, Gao Shueting suddenly changed her pretty face and shouted. Brother Chen is behind. Feng Ming also screamed strangely. Why do they need to remind? The moment Yang Kai appeared behind him strangely, Chen Wenhao already had an insight. Between the lightning and the flint, the power of the law of heaven and earth was his own heart, and the long sword burst into a meteor-like glow and stabbed back with his hand. Ding! The crisp sound came out, and Chen Wenhao instinctively felt that he was stabbed by something, but he was completely blocked. Not only that, the long sword screamed, and the light on the sword flashed wildly. Leap forward. A violent force erupted from behind. Although it didn't hurt him in the slightest, it still frightened him a lot. Before he could stand still, Yang Kai followed him like a shadow, and appeared next to him on the right side again. His fist was wrapped in demonic energy, and he punched hard, smashing down on him with the power of destroying heaven and earth. The move is simple, but extremely ferocious. It can be called a return to basics. There is no way to avoid it. Deep in Chen Wenhao's heart, there was a stormy wave. As a strong man in the Emperor Venerable realm, although he was only at the first level, he had already touched the threshold of the true meaning of martial arts in this world. Suppressing all over the place, there is also a bit of ability to deal with it. But this inexplicable monster did it, relying on its miraculous body skills and strange and inexplicable speed, which made it impossible for him to compete with it one-on-one. At the critical juncture, he shouted loudly, "The body turns into a source of water." After the words fell, the whole person suddenly became translucent, as if kneaded from a ball of water. Yang Kai's fist directly blasted a big hole in his body, and his arms were punched out along his chest. Chen Wenhao couldn't help snorting, as if he had been quite traumatized. Suffering from this blow, not only did he not back down, but he channeled his source force again, and his body transformed into Shui Yuan shrank suddenly, firmly entrapping one of Yang Kai's arms. At this moment, Feng Ming and Gao Shueting, who had been watching the battle from the sidelines, shot at the same time. A long spear appeared in Feng Ming's hand. The long spear was like a flying goose, and there were traces of electric light flashing on it. It was the Emperor Baoyan Thunder Spear that he sacrificed with all his painstaking efforts. It was also a well-known existence in the entire southern region. Running and thundering, Feng Ming shouted loudly, taking advantage of Chen Wenhao's good shot timing. The spear danced, and the plasma-like thunder blasted out, hitting Yang Kai directly. On the other side, a small mirror suddenly appeared on the palm of Gao Shueting's hand. After the source force was poured into it, the mirror suddenly shone brightly, like a small sun hanging in midair, shooting out a mysterious light from it, covering Yang Kai's body. Her expression is cold and solemn. She is wearing a moon-white dress and dances without wind, hovering in the air, like a goddess who descended from the sky. The scorching breath suddenly filled the air, as if it was going to burn everything. The demonic chi tumbling on Yang Kai's body surface seemed to have encountered some nemesis, and it quickly writhed and turned into countless blue smoke, floating outward. Dabao, the sun mirror. In mysterious Shaoji, the projected Huaqingxi manifested by means of the Dharma body can clearly see everything outside. With an excited expression on her face, she shouted loudly. She knew all three of them, and naturally she had heard about the secret treasures used by the three of them. Even if she had never seen them before, she would know them well when she saw them now. The long sword in Chen Wenhao's hand is also not an ordinary secret treasure, it is the Emperor Treasure Water Flow Sword. 3 great Emperor treasures, 3 great Emperor sovereign realms all shot together. She seemed to have seen the situation where Yang Kai, who existed like a demon king, fell down. This made her smell the breath of freedom. Between lightning and thunder, the scorching sun shrouded extremely, Yang Kai seemed to feel a fatal threat, and suddenly roared. A majestic and masculine aura suddenly burst out, completely different from the previous evil violence. The next moment, his arm that was stuck in Chen Wenhao's water source body suddenly swelled, and pieces of dragon scales emerged, and the whole big hand suddenly turned into a dragon claw. With this help, he twitched violently. Chen Wenhao let out a muffled snort, as if the body of the water source could not be maintained, Yang Kai broke free directly, bringing up a pool of blood. Immediately, Yang Kai turned around and grabbed at the plasma that was rushing violently. Sting la la, Yang Kai's body trembled wildly, and he used the might of the dragon's claws to resist the attack of Feng Ming's secret technique, but the numbness caused by the current rushing through his body was inescapable. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Gao Shueting's beautiful eyes turned cold, which further increased the power of the sun mirror. The demon energy on Yang Kai's body surface evaporated more and more quickly, making him cry out in pain, as if he had suffered some great torture. Death! Everyone will die! A roar came out, and the space in a radius of more than 10 miles suddenly changed. The power of the law of heaven and earth added to her body, making Gao Shueting's movements involuntarily paused. On the other side, Chen Wenhao, who was rid of by Yang Kai, was about to attack with a long sword, but his body sank. Law of space! Gao Shueting screamed, her beautiful eyes trembling violently. Since the three Emperor Senior Realm present can reach today's level, they naturally have their own unique perception and understanding of the laws of heaven and earth. The three of them are promoted to the power of laws based on their own cultivation of secret techniques or exercises. Emperor Prestige Level. Each Emperor Senior Realm has a different comprehension of the power of law, and the areas they specialize in are also different. Only those gifted geniuses can comprehend the deepest and most primitive laws in a certain unique field. The law of the five elements, the true meaning of various powers, and the mysteries of various supernatural powers are the cornerstones for the emperors to gradually become stronger. Among them, the power of several mysterious and difficult laws is the most difficult to comprehend. Undoubtedly, the law of space is one of them, and it is almost impossible to comprehend it. For countless years in the star realm, countless great emperors reached the pinnacle with the help of their comprehension of the power of laws, but it has never been heard that anyone has achieved this step with the help of the laws of space. The law of space is too mysterious, even for Emperor Senior Realm, it is also daunting. But right now, a demonized monster has unleashed the law of space and sealed off this world. Gao Shueting's breathing was stagnant. In a daze, Yang Kai had already charged at her with the divine power of the blazing sun mirror. Like running thunder, like lightning, the speed is unimaginable. In the blink of an eye, Yang Kai had rushed in front of Gao Shueting. He simply ignored the enemy who wanted to kill him, but punched the fierce sun mirror. Ho ho! The roaring dragon chant sounded, and more than a dozen pitch-black dragons shot out from the fist, flying all over the sky. Going around, Gao Shueting saw the opportunity quickly and evaded in time, but she still couldn't completely avoid it. Boom boom boom! The dark magic dragon collided with the sun mirror, and the sun mirror flickered for a while. When Gao Shueting flew to Feng Ming and Chen Wenhao's side, she had an ugly expression on her pretty face, looking at the emperor treasure that she sacrificed so much painstakingly. On the blazing sun mirror, there seemed to be a faint layer of black air covering it, which damaged its spirituality. Inside the mysterious boundary bead, Hua Qingxi looked dumbfounded, opened her small mouth into a circle, and said in a low voice, "Is he so strong? I thought that the three great Emperor Senior Realms joined forces, and even the Emperor treasure was sacrificed, so taking down Yang Kai was not a blink of an eye." But after a round of confrontation, on the contrary, the three Emperor Senior stages were deflated again and again, and Yang Kai was brave and unstoppable. 10,000 things in Hua Qingxi's heart are unacceptable. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2103 All means. It's tricky, his devilish energy can corrode even my emperor treasure. Chen Wenhao glanced at the blazing sun mirror in Gao Shuijian's hand, and then at his own water sword, with a serious expression on his face. On the Shuiliu sword, like the fierce sun mirror, there is a faint layer of black air covering it, obviously corroded by the devil energy. Although this level will not damage Dabao's spirituality, if it doesn't get rid of, Dabao will really lose his spirituality in the long run. The birth of every emperor treasure is not easy, and it is cherished by every emperor senior realm. How could they allow this kind of thing to happen? What a troublesome guy, it looks like he's going to get serious. Feng Ming snorted coldly. Chen Wenhao also stared at Yang Kai intently, but said to Gao Shuijian who was at the side, "Junior sister Gao, I need to rely on your strength." Gao Shuiyan gritted her teeth, as if she had made up her mind, and said, "If the sun mirror is destroyed, you have to pay me for it." Feng Ming laughed loudly and said, "It's an emperor treasure anyway, how could it be destroyed so easily? Stop talking nonsense, do it quickly, lest things change." Only then did Gao Shuiyan raise her hand, and the blazing sun mirror flew straight into the sky, as if rushing into the sky, and soon, the blazing sun mirror overlapped with the scorching sun in the sky. Gao Shuijian's bare hands are flying upwards, and the spells in her hands are changing. A mysterious power diffused from the sun mirror, and the entire mirror was buzzing endlessly. Above the infinite sky, the sun suddenly shot down a dazzling beam of light, which directly hit the mirror surface of the sun mirror, piercing the lens surface, radiating in all directions. Li Yang Tianyu, Zhu Yang Kiwei. Gao Shuiyan wrapped her hands around her chest, and slowly pushed forward at a slow speed. Flame-like light covered it. This small world blocked by Yang Kai's power of space law made a crackling sound, as if some force had broken free from the confinement. Immediately afterwards, the vision concubine revealed. 9 scorching suns appeared strangely in the sky, the dazzling rays of light pierced people who could barely open their eyes, and the temperature of the sunlight shining down from the scorching sun was scorching, turning the earth into scorched earth. Yang Kai let out a roar, as if he couldn't bear the surrounding of countless scorching sun. He immediately launched an attack. He rushed straight to meet the scorching sun, and punched out. Boom! The scorching sun hanging above the head was directly shattered. But after a short while, another round of scorching sun resurfaced in another location. Yang Kai seemed to be mad, and smashed another round of scorching sun in disbelief, but the scene like a shuakai appeared again, making his efforts useless. It's useless. In Mr. Gao's Liang Tianyu, this kind of attack can't be used at all. Watching C seems to have heard about this fierce Yang Point region, and saw Yang Kai running around in mysterious small boundary, shaking his head slowly, and said happily. Dharma Body rolled his eyeballs and said, then what kind of attack is useful? Naturally, it's attacking Mr. Gao. Watching C spoke bluntly, and said with a smile, but in this blazing sun, Mr. Gao is omnipotent, and the figure she manifests should be a phantom, that's all. I'm afraid I don't know where the real body is hidden. Really? The corner of Fashion's mouth twitched, and Posu smiled deeply. You know a lot, as expected of being born in Star God Palace. Watching C smiled proudly. If she hadn't been born in the supreme power of the southern region like the Star God Palace, how could she have understood the mysteries of Gao Shui's marriage based on her identity and level as a Daoyuan third-layer warrior? And just as Yang Kai was attacking those nasty scorching suns frantically, a figure had already appeared elegantly beside him. The long sword in his hand was condensed in the law of kendo, and stabbed at him at a slow and cautious speed. 3 dry swordsmanship, Chen Wenhao shouted in a low voice. When the sword stabbed out, the 9 scorching suns in the sky seemed to be eclipsed by it. Between the heaven and the earth, there was only this sword that condensed Chen Wenhao's life's work. Sword light flashed, blood flew, demon energy surged, and Yang Kai roared. This sword finally made a great contribution, directly piercing Yang Kai's chest and abdomen, bringing up a piece of golden blood. Under the pain, Yang Kai stretched out his dragon claws and grasped the Shuiliu sword, ignoring the sharp sword edges cut on his palm. The other hand turned into a giant palm covering the sky, and slapped Chen Wenhao fiercely. Chen Wenhao's eyes shrank, and he wanted to back away, but he was shocked to find that the strange power of the law of space came to him again, which made him stop involuntarily. With such a delay, Yang Kai's slap was already in sight. Shape-shifting, Gao Shuijiao's voice sounded, clasping his palms together and sending it forward. A round of scorching sun hanging high in the sky suddenly replaced Chen Wenhao, and was directly crushed by the giant palm covering the sky. Not far from the other side, Chen Wenhao's figure appeared, his face turned slightly pale, and he nodded to Gao Shuiyan to express his gratitude. If Gao Shuiyan hadn't used a secret technique to get him away just now, he would have been injured for sure. Have you forgotten who? A voice suddenly sounded behind Yang Kai. Taking advantage of the entanglement between Yang Kai and Chen Wenhao, Feng Ming had already rushed to Yang Kai with the Yanlei spear in his hand, the point of the spear pointing forward. The source force condensed at one point, suddenly burst out. Thunderbolt. At the tip of the spear, a huge thunder ball suddenly emerged, filled with violent thunder power enough to destroy the world, and it exploded suddenly beside Yang Kai. Thunder danced wildly, silver snakes ran, and the earth turned into a field of electricity. At that moment, the demonic energy behind Yang Kai disappeared for a short time, revealing a figure full of bones. This blow seemed to have caused him great damage. Before Feng Ming could be happy, he saw Yang Kai suddenly turned around and slapped him. Dare to underestimate people. Feng Ming was furious when he saw Yang Kai attacking in a big way, and attacked with a long spear. But this time it was a void. The figure in front of him disappeared at once. Feng Ming's heart tightened instinctively, he retracted his gun and backed away, his face full of alertness. The nose he was fighting with was a terrifying existence that could mobilize the laws of space. Feng Ming didn't dare to take it lightly. At the same time, Chen Wenhao also spread his spiritual thoughts, trying to find Yang Kai's trace. But at this moment, a soft cry suddenly came out. In that empty place, Gao Shuiyan's figure staggered out, followed by Yang Kai, who was as murderous as a demon descending. How could you? Gao Shuiyan had an unbelievable expression on her face. No matter what, she couldn't believe that Yang Kai could accurately find his hiding place in his Liang Tianyu and sneak attack him. Seeing the dark figure rushing towards her, a breath of death rushed towards her face. In the haze, she seemed to have heard the call of the god of death. The way of the sword is boundless. At the critical moment, Chen Wenhao came to kill with the sword, and the water sword pointed out, and the surrounding area was filled with infinite sword energy, blasting towards Yang Kai like a violent storm. Yang Kai roared with devilish energy on his body surface, turning into spirit snakes and flying out, competing with the sword energy. Chi 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 chi, the sword energy disappears, and the spirit snake retreats. Yang Kai's figure was revealed, and Gao Shuiyan retreated to Chen Wenhao's side. Her face was pale, and her clothes were wet with sweat. Is this guy still sane? Feng Ming asked with his eyes wide open. Shuakai Yang Kai used him as a bait to attract everyone's attention, but he quietly attacked Gao Shui to marry him. This was not done by a demon who lost his mind at all, it was clearly a very spiritual act, way of fighting. Even if he has his strength, it is impossible to do better. Maybe there is, maybe not. Chen Wenhao put his sword behind his hands, his body was as motionless as a mountain, exuding amazing sword intent like a sharp sword out of its scabbard, and said, "Today, the devil will let you know my way of swordsmanship." When the voices are in harmony, the killing intent is obvious, and the sword chi is sick. In an instant, Chen Wenhao's anger stimulated his source of force, and his exquisite swordsmanship was fully revealed. The movement of the sword was condensed on the sword body, gathering the power of law, and he shot suddenly. The moment he made a move, Gao Shuiyan's figure also disappeared into the fierce sun realm again. However, the 9 scorching suns suspended in the middle of the year burst into brilliance together, turning into 9 beams of light and attacking Yang Kai, sealing off the world. Holding the Yanlei spear in his hand, Feng Ming used all the subtleties he had learned in his life, and greeted Yang Kai's vital points. All of a sudden, the 3 great emperors made their move together, intending to slay demons and defend the clarity of the world. Yang Kai just let out an angry roar, responding to all changes with the same. The magic cloud on his body rolled, and all kinds of simple and rude moves were executed, but he fell into a disadvantage. It was almost impossible for the 3 of them to kill him in a short time. The magic cloud on his body has extremely strong defensive power, even the various secret techniques of the 3 emperors and the attacks of emperor treasures, it is difficult to break through. The sky and the earth change color, the sun and the moon have no light. In mysterious Shaoji, watching Xi remained silent for a long time, her beautiful eyes trembling slightly. Being able to observe the battle of the Emperor's senior realm expert so clearly is also a huge opportunity for a warrior like her at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. It is a pity that there is great danger near the battlefield of the Emperor's senior realm expert. Warriors have no chance to observe at all. But by chance, she was uniquely blessed to see it from beginning to end. She no longer had all the thoughts of wanting Yang Kai to die as soon as possible, but fell into contemplation while watching the battle, looking as if she had gained something. Dharma body glanced at her, raised the corner of his mouth, and did not disturb her. When he turned his head to look at the battlefield, the Dharma body showed a deep worry. Although occupation seems to be in a stalemate on the surface, the main body is only a warrior at the 1st level of Daoyuan after all. Even with the help of magic energy, it is somewhat incapable of fighting against 3 emperors at the same time. The continuous injury of the main body is the best proof. It doesn't matter, the key is that the main body knows that it is invincible, but it doesn't run away. This is what worries Dharmakaya the most. Whether the ontology still has his own sanity, Dharma body is not clear. He tried to contact the ontology, but got no response from there. Instead Shua sneakily told the ontology the flaw of Gao Shui marrying Liang Tianyu's secret technique. Ontology actually also understand. Otherwise, the main body wouldn't have pulled Gao Shuiyan out of his hiding place, and almost returned the heavy sword to the opponent. Gaining such a powerful power suddenly, and it is the power of an evil and violent ancient troll, is definitely not a good thing for the main body. Once it lasts for a long time, no one can tell what will happen. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Xi'an Shu Gongzi. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2104 Fiery Red Light. In Fenggalan City, thousands of miles away, hundreds of thousands of warriors in the city did not have the joy of surviving after the catastrophe, but all looked in a certain direction with horror on their faces. In that direction, there was a violent energy fluctuation, and there was a deafening crackling sound. Duan Yuanshan, Drunkard, Qin Chaoyong, and the Daoyuan ancestors of the major families stood on the city wall one after another, their eyes piercing the void, as if they wanted to see something. My lord, who is fighting over there? Liang Pengal, the patriarch of the Liang family, asked in surprise. Duan Yuanshan pondered for a while, and said, on the way back, Duan met Lord Chen from Tianwu Holy Land and 3 other adults. I guess they made a fuss. Master Chen Wenhao, who came to our Fenggalan city last time. Xin Gaoji, the patriarch of the Xin family, narrowed his eyes. Exactly. Then who is their enemy? Xin Gaoji was shocked. The 3 of them, including Chen Wenhao, were all powerful in the Emperor Prestige realm. The 3 of them teamed up, but they still only fought fiercely against the unknown enemy. It can be seen how powerful the enemy is. I don't know. Duan Yuanshan shook his head. But at this moment, Yang Kai's figure inexplicably appeared in his mind. At that time, the experts from the 7 Great Dao Origin Realm took Qin Yu to repair the seal, but there was a leak in the batch, Zhuang Pan escaped, the Xuanwu 7 section formation collapsed without attack, Du Lishan died tragically on the spot, and Qin Zhaoyong fell into a coma with the heavy sword. Yang Kai was eroded by the devil energy, and he stood still, as if he was about to become a devil. If it is said that Yang Kai lost his sanity, it is possible to become a demon. But with his foundation, even if he becomes a demon, can he fight against the 3 emperors? Duan Yuanshan shook his head, dispelling the funny thoughts in his mind. What's more, the weird ancient demonic energy has all disappeared, and the monsters whose minds have been eroded have also recovered, so Yang Kai should be the same. Rumbling. Suddenly there was a sound of thunder in the sky, and along with the sound, the vitality of heaven and earth seemed to be drawn by something, and gathered in a certain direction. What happened? Xin Gaoji was the first to react, and looked towards a certain direction in Fenggalan City in astonishment. Duan Yuanshan also turned his head, looked at it for a while, and said happily, there is someone in the city who is about to be promoted to Daoyuan realm. Whose disciple? All the ancestors looked at each other and shook their heads slowly, expressing that they were not from their own family. Go and have a look, this is a sign of great prosperity after the catastrophe in my Fenggalan city. Duan Yuanshan shouted loudly, urging his voice with source force, enough for all warriors in the city to hear clearly. As the lord of a city, he naturally had to focus on stabilizing people's hearts at this moment. This vision of promotion just gave him room to play. No matter who the promoted person is, it is only a good thing, not a bad thing, for the many warriors who survived the catastrophe in Fenggalan City to cause a change in the vitality of the world at this juncture. Not long after, everyone galloped to the most superior cave. Outside the cave, an old woman, a middle-aged beautiful woman, and a young girl are standing quietly in front of the cave. Miss 7th. Duan Yuanshan glanced at the young girl, his face a bit stunned. It's normal for him to recognize Mo Shaoqi. After all, he had previously resisted the siege of monsters and demonic energy together. Although Mo Shaoqi was only at the 3rd level of Void King, Duan Yuanshan did not underestimate him at all. Because of getting along during that period of time, Duan Yuanshan discovered that this girl's background was quite mysterious, and what she learned and used was extremely profound. The most important thing is that Mo Shaoqi looks only 16 or 17 years old this year. 16 or 17-year-old Void King 3rd level realm, even a big sect like the Tianwu Holy Land may not be able to cultivate it, only the Star God Palace has this possibility. For a while, Duan Yuanshan even regarded Mo Shaoqi as a secret disciple of Star God Palace. Of course he didn't dare to underestimate the other party. Master Duan, seniors. Mo Shaoqi smiled and greeted everyone. Miss 7th, this promoted person. Duan Yuanshan asked straight to the point. It's shopkeeper Kong from Dianfeng. Mo Shaoqi didn't mean to hide anything. Saran. Duan Yuanshan was stunned, and the ancestors of other families also widened their eyes, as if they heard something extremely impossible. Dianfeng is the property of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, and all the experts in Fenggalan City know about it, and they also know about saran. But Ru, just because he knows the basics and the bottom line, he looks confused. How could saran be promoted to Daoyuan realm? His martial arts has reached the end, and his aptitude is only enough for him to reach the third level of the Void King. I dare not say that he will not be able to advance to the source of Tao in his life, but his hope is only 1 in 10,000. When they suddenly heard that saran was promoted to Daoyuan realm, everyone was very surprised. A strange color flashed in Duan Yuenshen's eyes, and he suddenly smiled and said, "So it's shopkeeper Kong, so I should congratulate him." There was a sense of loss in the words. Although saran has been living in Fenggalan City, but because of his origin and identity, he does not belong to Fenggalan City, so his promotion does not have much effect on Fenggalan City, which is also the reason for Duan Yuenshen's mood change. "I'm afraid shopkeeper Kong has got some great opportunity." Shin Gaoji had a thoughtful expression on his face. If it weren't for a chance, with saran's aptitude and ability, it would be absolutely impossible for him to be promoted to the Daoyuan realm suddenly, and judging from the time, it seems that he began to retreat and prepare for the city when the demonic energy besieged the city. Dare to retreat and prepare for a breakthrough at that time, it means that saran has full confidence in this promotion. For this kind of thing, I'd better wait for the shopkeeper Kong to leave the customs, and you seniors can ask yourself. Mo Shaoqi replied with a smile. Duan Yuenshen nodded and said, "Naturally." Quote, while the few people were talking, the vision in the sky had been fully revealed. The power of the heavens and the earth erupted, and the baptism of the energy of the heavens and the earth began. The black clouds turned into pure attacks. Ran body. In the cave, saran's roar was heard immediately, as if he was suffering from great pain. It made people's ears feel numb. The sword chi ran wild and shrouded in the 9 suns, the spear light flickered, and turned into a flood dragon, flickering back and forth. Under the siege of the 3 great Emperor Zunjing powerhouses, Yongkai was filled with demon energy, fighting to the death without retreating. As if he didn't know what pain was, his body was covered with sword wounds. Even with the powerful recovery ability of devil energy and golden blood, this kind of injury caused by Emperor Senior Realm Emperor Treasure will not be cured in a short while, and the attached power of law erodes Yongkai's flesh and blood vitality. Gradually his injury worsened. The blood was scattered, but Yongkai fought more and more bravely. The 3 great Emperor Senior stages cooperated with each other, although their ability overwhelmed Yongkai and kept him injured, but the more they fought, the more frightened they became. It was also thanks to the 3 of them rushing here together. If they were to face this monster alone, no one would have the confidence to contend against it. The degree of ferocity and bloodiness of this devil is really the only time the 3 of them have seen in their lives. Just when the battle situation was getting tense, suddenly there was an extremely loud and clear bird song from that distant position. Brutal. That crisp voice pierced through the void and imprinted in everyone's ears, as if an ancient Holy Spirit phoenix was mourning. The voice contained endless anxiety and anger. The moment the sound came, Yongkai, who was in a decisive battle with the 3 great emperors, suddenly paused, and the devilish energy outside his body suddenly twitched like he was struck by lightning. Seeing this, Chen Wenhao and the others hurriedly retreated to the side to be vigilant and defensive. They didn't dare to advance in the slightest without knowing whether Yongkai was playing tricks. Any negligence in a master's fight is enough to be fatal. What sound? Feng Ming asked a question. Both Chen Wenhao and Gao Shueting shook their heads slowly. The 3 looked up, only to see Yongkai suddenly turn his head and stare at each other. And following his gaze, Lu Kei, the 3 of them, saw a fiery red light galloping towards this side in the distant sky. She is coming. In mysterious small world, the Dharma body also saw this scene clearly through the teleportation, and couldn't help but be overjoyed. What is this? Although watching C had enough eyesight, she still couldn't see what the fiery red light was. She could only vaguely feel that the fiery red light contained unimaginable terrifying power. His weapon spirit, Dharmakaya replied. Warrior spirit. Watching C frowned, and immediately said in surprise, warrior spirit transformed into form. Artifact spirits are intangible things, born with secret treasures, and destroyed with secret treasures. But this weapon spirit in front of him can actually take shape by itself. Obviously it is not an ordinary weapon spirit. D suddenly remembered that among the information he had inquired before, at the auction meeting in Fenggalan City more than a year ago, it was said that a shape-changing artifact spirit was put up for auction. Is it the one in front of you? But how can a mere weapon spirit reverse this deadlocked situation? Watching C really didn't know what the big stone in front of her was happy about. I hope your appearance can awaken the consciousness of the main body. Fa Xin prayed secretly. Yang Kai fell into an absolute disadvantage in the battle with the three Emperor Senior Realm powerhouses. It is definitely not a good thing to fight to the death and not retreat. The body has been trying to call the main body to let him go, but there is no way to wake up the main body no matter what. Consciousness. At this moment, Lu Yan suddenly arrived, and the spiritual connection between her and the main body might have a miraculous effect. The fact is indeed as expected by Dharma body. When Lu Yan appeared in the distance, the fluctuation of Yang Kai's spiritual sense suddenly became disordered. He stood quietly in the same place, and looked at the rapidly killing one in the distance. With a fiery red light, a trace of bewilderment flashed in his eyes, and then he struggled violently. Che! That crisp and loud cry pierced Yang Kai's heart like a sharp sword, and that little fiery red light was like a prairie fire, burning in Yang Kai's consciousness, and it was inseparable from the inseparable relationship between Qi Ling's spiritual connection also plays a vital role in this moment. Yang Kai's mind suddenly cleared up for a moment. The next moment, he realized the precarious situation he was in, and his brows froze all of a sudden. The situation has changed, let's make a quick decision. Seeing that Yang Kai's situation was wrong, Chen Wenhao immediately shouted, ready to use extreme moves to decide the winner in the shortest possible time. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Xian Shu Gongzi. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2105 Darkness Without Boundaries. When Feng Ming and Gao Shueding heard the words, they also urged Yuan Li vigorously. The three adults, why bother to kill them all? Yang Jiren spoke up. The three emperors were all startled. Since the fight until now, Yang Gecko has said very few words, but what he said before was like a roar after losing his sanity, but at this moment, his voice is extremely stable, obviously with independent thinking. Don't talk too much, the devil, today either you or us will die. Chen Wenhao yelled loudly, with a tap of the long sword in his hand, the 3,000 swordsmanship rules went towards Yang. Feng Ming and Ji Shuizheng also shot at the same time. Yang froze for a moment, and only after he regained his sanity did he fully feel the horror of the Emperor Senior Realm powerhouse. The combination of these three people is definitely not what I can resist now. Being able to entangle with them for so long before was entirely caused by demonic thoughts, which drove his survival and killing instincts. But now, in the face of the shocking combined blow of the three great emperors, Yang Zhenwu felt a fatal threat. He tapped his feet, drifted back, and at the same time, bit one, and shouted, "Black pupil purgatory, darkness is boundless." As the words fell, the dark magic pupil on his right eye suddenly burst into a dark and mysterious light, and the three emperors could not help but stagnate when they met that dark pupil, as if there are stars, sun and moon alternating. A desolate and ancient atmosphere suddenly filled the air. It's dark. There are no 5 fingers when reaching out. That smear of darkness enveloped the sky and the earth, turned into a cage, and enveloped the land around Feng Yuan's ears. Even the dazzling sword light and gun shadow, even the 9 suns shining in the sky, still cannot penetrate this dark blockade. The hearts of the 3 emperors senior realm teamed up suddenly, and the companions who were close at hand suddenly disappeared, and the divine sense was released, and they were also extremely chaotic under the interference of the endless darkness. That darkness seemed to extend to the end of the world, causing the whole world to sink. After experiencing the initial panic, the 3 great emperors immediately stabilized their minds. Almost unanimously, they all pinched their spirits. Tens of thousands of sword lights flew together, the geese and thunder guns turned into lightning dragons, soaring into the sky, and the 9 suns burst into dazzling light, all bursting into pieces. The boundless darkness reveals a glimmer of light. Immediately, that ray of light rapidly expanded until it completely dispelled the darkness. The 3 of them stood in the air, looking around. They were the only ones left here. As for the devil, he had long since disappeared, and he didn't know where he went. Looking at each other, the faces of the 3 of them were so ugly that they cast their divine senses one after another, covering the ground, but they couldn't grasp the direction of the devil's escape at all. What kind of supernatural power is this? Feng Ming asked in a deep voice with a gloomy face that could almost blow off a layer of frost. Chen Wenhao shook his head. I don't know. This matter must be reported to the sect as soon as possible, and we have to rush to the Star God Palace. The ancient troll Mana was born, and the Star God Palace may know something. Gao Shueding put away her sun mirror and stroked at the mirror surface. The traces of dark power on the mirror, like tarsal maggots, can't get rid of it to make her face distressed. Junior sister Gao is right, and there is no need to delay. Let's go to the Star God Palace immediately, and hope that the Emperor can gain some insight. Chen Wenhao said, reaching out to take out a jade tablet, pouring spiritual thoughts into it, and directly taking out the jade tablet. When it was crushed, a complicated and weird pattern appeared in front of him, and it disappeared in a flash, drifting away with the wind. Feng Ming and Gao Shueding also performed different secret techniques, and passed on what they saw and heard here to the head of the sect. Immediately, the three of them immediately set off to the Star God Palace, preparing to meet the Emperor Mingyu and pray for answers. As for whether the escaped demon will harm the nearby Fenggalan city, that is no longer what they need to deal with. The demon is secretive and tyrannical, and the three of them can't kill him even if they work together. The supernatural power of the world made the three of them feel terrified. If the devil had taken the opportunity to sneak attack at that time, the three of them would have been killed or injured. The small Fenggalan city was not taken seriously by them. If they hadn't learned that the seal of the ancient troll was broken, it would be impossible for the three of them to come to such a place. After a while, tranquility was restored on the field. At the same time, in Fenggalan City, a beautiful young woman with a cold expression entered the city quietly, dressed in fiery red clothes, like clouds. Countless warriors who survived the catastrophe couldn't help but stare at this beautiful young woman when they saw this beautiful young woman. However, there are also some people who faintly sense that this beautiful young woman has a spirituality different from ordinary people, elegant and violent, making people unpredictable. Not long after, the young woman took out a sound bead from her hand and poured her spiritual thoughts into it, as if she was communicating with someone. After a while, she put away the sound beads and got into a deserted alley. After waiting for a stick of incense, a graceful figure suddenly appeared strangely. If the young woman noticed something, she looked back, and when she saw the girl, she pursed her lips and said with a smile, "This should be little seventh sister." Mo Xiaoqi frowned, and glanced behind the young woman, but she didn't see a familiar figure, so she couldn't help asking with some doubts, "Who are you?" "Brother Yang asked you to come to me." "That's right." The young woman nodded, stretched out her hand, and the sound bead appeared on the palm of her hand. "This is indeed something I gave to Brother Yang." Mo Xiaoqi nodded, and asked again, "Where is Brother Yang?" "I heard from City Lord Duan that he was corroded by demonic energy outside the city. Is he okay?" She looked extremely nervous, worried about Yang's safety. "Master's life is not in danger for the time being, but there are some minor problems, so it's inconvenient to see each other, so I specially asked me to tell Miss Seventh." The young woman replied. "It's fine." Mo Xiaoqi felt relieved, glanced at the young woman, and asked with a smile, "What's my sister's name?" "The master gave me a name, Lu Yan." The young woman replied. Mo Xiaoqi showed a strange look on his face, and spat. "Brother Yang seems to be only at the first level of Daoyuan, right? Sister Lu Yan, you are also at the first level of Daoyuan, why do you call him master?" Lu Yan pursed her lips and smiled. "Without the master, I would not be who I am today, and the master has given me the grace of rebuilding." Mo Xiaoqi curled her lips and said, "Forget it, it's none of my business anyway. What's your sister's plan going forward?" "At the master's order, I will temporarily live in the Zhang family's old house outside the city." "Well, the master ordered me to take away a group of people from the Zhang family." Lu Yan said. "Since Brother Yang said so, come with me." Mo Xiaoqi greeted. Lu Yan shook his head, and said, "Now the shopkeeper Kong is on the verge of promotion, right? Lord City Master, are they all in front of your cave?" "Yes." Mo Xiaoqi nodded. Lu Yan smiled slightly and said, "It's inconvenient for me to meet City Lord Duan and others, and please ask Miss Seven to send everyone from the Zhang family outside the city, and I will wait for you outside the city." After finishing speaking, Lu Yan directly turned into a streamer and shot out of the city. At the same time, Duan Yuenshan, who was waiting in front of the cave mansion, seemed to have sensed something, glanced in the direction of Lu Yan, and asked in surprise, "What a strange breath, another source of Dao." On the other side, Mo Xiaoqi rolled her eyes after seeing Lu Yan disappear, and said suspiciously, "No popularity, this sister is really strange." Although she was a little curious about what Lu Yan turned into, since she had a close relationship with Yang, Mo Xiaoqi didn't know, but she also understood why Lu Yan said that it was inconvenient for her to meet City Lord Duan and others. Duan Yuenshan has the cultivation base of Daoyuan second level, maybe he can see through her essence at a glance. Shaking his head, Mo Xiaoqi rushed towards his cave. Half an hour later, outside the city, Mo Xiaoqi brought a group of people from the Zhang family to Luoyan. Everyone in the Zhang family probably heard something from Mo Xiaoqi, so they didn't feel any repulsion towards Luoyan. Instead, they all bowed solemnly after realizing her advanced cultivation. The powerful cultivation of the first level of Luoyan Daoyuan alone cannot be ignored by the members of the Zhang family, not to mention that she has a master-servant relationship with Yang Jie. You are the little girl Ruoxi, right? You are so pure and lovely. Luoyan's eyes wandered around the members of the Zhang family, and finally fixed on Zhang Ruoxi. She didn't know why Yang Jie wanted to look at Zhang Ruoxi from another state. The little girl probably hasn't grown up yet, although she is pretty, but if Yang really wants a woman, does he need to find a little girl? With his current cultivation base, what kind of woman he wants is probably just a matter of one sentence. What's more, from Luoyan's understanding of Yang, he is not that kind of lustful man. As for the cultivation base, Zhang Ruoxi has a clear view of the cultivation base of the second level of the Saint King. Can such a cultivation base help Yang Jie? So Luoyan was a little puzzled. Ruoxi has met Lord Luoyan. Zhang Ruoxi blushed when she heard Luoyan's roll call, and saluted slightly flustered. Luoyan smiled. Lord Luoyan, Mr. Xian. Zhang Ruoxi bit her red lips lightly, and summoned up her courage to ask. The old man and the beautiful woman of the Zhang family also looked nervously, wanting to know Yang's whereabouts and safety. Master is fine, you don't have to worry, it's just that after being eroded by the devil's energy, you are a little weak, and you are recuperating, and you will be back soon. Luoyan explained. I'm relieved at such an old age. Madame Zhang exhaled, and Zhang Ruoxi and others also looked light. Sister Xiaoqi, then I'll take them back first. Luoyan said to Mo Xiaoqi again. Mo Xiaoqi led the way. Well, I'll go see Brother Yang when he comes back. The two sides leave it alone. Luoyan and a group of members of the Zhang family rushed towards the residence outside the city, and returned within a short while. After returning home, everyone in the Zhang family treated Luoyanru as their guest and arranged the best wing room for her. Luoyan told everyone that he was going to practice in seclusion, so he closed the doors and windows tightly, and set up a barrier to isolate the inside and outside. In the side room, she opened her mouth and spit out a bead the size of a longan, holding it in the palm of her hand cherishingly, staring at the bead. Her beautiful eyes were full of worry, and she never saw the ease and freehand brushwork she had before. The bead is the mysterious boundary bead. Luoyan appeared when Yang was born, awakened his mind, and forced himself to perform the secret technique of the ancient role, using the power of darkness to imprison the three emperors. After giving her safekeeping, he hid himself in it for refuge. To be continued, this text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Xiao AI 332335. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to filled lower left triangle first filled upper right triangle to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Close black lens bracket. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Xian to vote for recommendations, monthly tickets. Your support is. Chapter 2106. Before Yang Kai hid in the mysterious boundary pearl, he hastily explained some things to Luoyan. Luoyan's status is quite special, and it is not convenient for him to move around, so he let him temporarily live in Zhang's house outside the city, which is also a helpless move. In the moment when his mind was clear, Yang Kai thought a lot. His own state is undoubtedly very dangerous, not to mention the possibility of losing his sanity and becoming a demon. If he does not hide in the mysterious boundary orb, but spreads it out wantonly, he will definitely be caught by Chen Wenhao and others again, to kill them all. What's more, in his bloodthirsty state, he has an instinctive desire to kill creatures. Once he accidentally breaks into Fenggalan City, the entire city will be slaughtered by him. He only has one place to go to in mysterious Shaoji. Inside the mysterious boundary pearl, Yang Kai's consciousness was drowsy and muddled. If it wasn't for the seven-color warming god lotus in the consciousness sea to protect Yang Kai's last sliver of sanity, he would have been lost in that powerful force, without self. At this moment, the seven-colored glow of the seven-colored warming god lotus and the evil thoughts of the ancient troll are endlessly entangled, and the two sides are evenly matched, making Yang Kai helpless. If it's just a crisis in the consciousness sea, it's fine. With the powerful effect of the seven-color warming god lotus, Yang Kai believes that he will not be lost in his mind. But, an unimaginable amount of ancient pure devilish energy accumulated in his body. When the devilish thought entered his body, it covered tens of thousands of miles in a radius, and even the devilish energy from those monsters gathered in his body. Although Wenshenlian is powerful, its effect is only on the soul, it has no effect on the body. If the problem of the physical body is not resolved, sooner or later he will fall into the ancient magic way. Roaring and roaring continued. The suppression was extremely terrifying, affected by Yang Kai's emotions. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in mysterious Shaoji was in chaos. Watching Si hid at the feet of the fashion with a pale complexion, using her thick thighs as a shelter from the wind, her beautiful eyes stared in horror at the direction of the sound. Her powerful Daoyuan third-layer cultivation base, in the tide of power set off by Yang Kai, is like a canoe sailing on the windy sea, and there is a danger of overturning at any time. Dharma Body also had a serious face, his shining eyes were full of worry, but there was nothing he could do. Gradually, the roar became louder and louder, and Yang Kai seemed to be madly destroying everything in mysterious Shaoji following his instinct. Flying sand and rocks, cracks in the earth, undulating mountains, rolling stones. At a certain moment, the continuous roaring sound suddenly stopped, and the earth-shattering movement disappeared all of a sudden. Watching Si felt silently for a moment, and then asked with difficulty, "What's wrong over there?" The Dharma Body squinted, his eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the void, and said in a deep voice, "It seems to have regained a moment of sanity. You said, if I go to ask him to let me go out now, what will happen?" Watching Si really couldn't bear this kind of suspenseful suffering, and a ridiculous idea sprouted in her heart. "You can give it a try." The Dharma Body glanced at her leisurely, then suddenly raised his head to look far away, and let out a surprise in his mouth. Immediately, his eyes lit up, and he said, "Yes, maybe that thing has miraculous effects." "What?" Watching Si asked in surprise. Dharma Body didn't pay attention to her meaning, and the beautiful woman couldn't help pouting. On the other side, Yang Kai took advantage of the brief sobriety of his consciousness to rush towards the medicine garden. When he was awake last time, he realized that his biggest problem was the surging demonic energy in his body. If the problem of demonic energy was not resolved for a moment, he would never be able to get rid of the ancient troll's demonic thoughts. He suddenly thought of the immortal tree planted in the medicine garden. The immortal tree is immortal, and the heaven and the earth exist forever, from ancient times to the present. If he could find a way to integrate it into his body, not only would he be able to achieve the legendary immortal body, but with the power of the Tree of Immortality, it would probably be enough to fight against the demon energy in his body and suppress it. The mysterious boundary pearl was refined by Yang Kai, and only his heart is in the mysterious small boundary. In a single thought, he had already arrived at the medicine garden, and sat cross-legged directly in front of the Tree of Immortality, silently practicing profound arts, trying to draw the power of the Tree of Immortality into his body. At the beginning of the year when he got the Tree of Immortality, he had tried to refine it, but there was nothing he could do, and finally nothing happened. But at that time, he was only at the first level of Void King, perhaps because of his lack of strength. But at this moment, he has reached the first level of Daoyuan, which is an entire realm higher than before, and it is indeed necessary to try. But soon, he found helplessly that even if he had reached the first level of Daoyuan, he couldn't pull any power from the Tree of Immortality. The not-so-tall Tree of Immortality is rooted in the medicine garden, exuding shocking power of life, making the entire mysterious small world appear full of vitality, but it just doesn't use it for itself. Yang Kai's eyes dimmed, and a trace of despair could not help but appear in his heart. Normally, this kind of emotion is nothing. But now he is haunted by the ancient evil thoughts, and the moment his despair was born, he was infinitely expanded by the evil thoughts. In an instant, the whole mysterious small world was filled with this heavy atmosphere, and even watching Si, who was far away, was covered by this, shrouded by this kind of despair. The pretty face was suddenly sad, and she was about to cry. Infected by that emotion, she seemed to see the scene where she was trapped in this weird space for the rest of her life, lonely for the rest of her life. Even to the point of death, there is only a big stone by his side. She hastily reached out and wiped the corners of her eyes, her fingers soaked with moisture. "Hey," Fashion sighed heavily, "why do I feel so sad all of a sudden?" Watching Si looked up at Dharma Body, and kept wiping the corners of her eyes with her bare hands, but the tears in the corners of her eyes were like pearls with broken strings. "Can't finish it." The Dharma Body stretched out a big hand like a door panel, and gently patted Watching Si's head. The beautiful woman's body suddenly became shorter, and she exclaimed, "I'm so sad, why are you crying like this?" I hate it so much, I can't stop my tears. While talking, his eyes were red and swollen like peaches. Huh, Fashion exclaimed again, and with this exclamation, he stood up abruptly, looking straight at the distant position, as if seeing something extremely incredible. The eyes that seemed to be embedded in the head of the stone also trembled violently due to the ups and downs of emotions, and lost his voice. This is. At the medicine garden, Yang Kai sat cross-legged in front of the immortal tree, trying to pull out the power of the immortal tree but failed. Unintentionally, he drew another force. The gold and silver two-color tree planted next to the immortal tree suddenly trembled slightly, and two rays of light burst out from the trunk. One gold, one silver. Pure to the extreme. The gold and silver two-color mysterious light is like an elf dancing in the wind, turning into a little bit of silver light and golden light, and it is like dancing butterflies flying around Yang Kai. Yang Kai was taken aback. The gold and silver tree was planted and grown from the seeds he got after killing the wooden mandrill. At that time, the seeds were also gold and silver, and the light of the two colors accounted for half of the seeds. Yang Kai didn't know what kind of seeds they were. It's just that the wooden mandrill has existed for a long time, and its birth must be the psychic of an ancient strange tree. In other words, the gold and silver seeds must also be the seeds of an ancient strange tree. He planned to go to investigate slowly later. But at this moment, the gold and silver two-color tree actually exuded such power that he couldn't help but feel a little absent-minded. But just when he was in a daze, the gold and silver mystical light shot into his body together and disappeared. After Yang Kai was startled, he revealed a wry smile. He doesn't know the effect or harm of the gold and silver mystical light, but now that the demonic energy in his body is surging, it feels like there are no worries about debts and no itching for too many lice. Yang Kai simply let them enter the body. The next moment, his body shook suddenly, his eyes widened, and he ejaculated. The devilish energy that had been surging around his body seemed to be restrained by something, roaring and hissing, and drilling into his body along his holes. After a while, Yang Kai revealed his figure again. At the same time, the devilish energy in the body was being compressed and solidified by a mysterious force, gathering in a certain part of the body. Even though the devilish energy was terrifying, the mysterious power was unbelievably powerful, like driving sheep, driving all the devilish energy to the lower abdomen. Immediately afterwards, a burning pain came from the lower abdomen, and Yang Kai just opened his mouth to cry out in pain, and the burning heat suddenly turned into a biting cold. It made him shiver uncontrollably, and the blood in his whole body almost froze. Before he could get used to it, the feeling turned into scorching heat again, and then icy cold. Repeatedly. I don't know how many times it lasted. Yang Kai was almost tossed half of his life, and suddenly, a dazzling golden and silver two-color mysterious light bloomed from the lower abdomen. Yang Kai's whole body was shocked. He vaguely realized something. He tore off his shirt and looked down. At the position of his lower abdomen, the gold and silver rays of light are like two fishes, connecting end to end, swimming quickly. And as they swim, a mysterious and wonderful pattern gradually takes shape, appearing like a branding mark. A moment later, the gold and silver two-color mysterious light erupted with even more dazzling light, and disappeared in a flash. Yang Kai screamed and passed out like this. The breeze was blowing slowly, and the mysterious Shaoji was peaceful. Only the Dharma body in the distance muttered to himself, "What the hell is that? What is what?" Watching C stepped out of the shadow of infinite grief, and asked shyly while rubbing her eyes, "Is that guy dead?" Dharma body glanced at her, grinned and said, "I've let you down, he's alive and well." "Damn it." Watching C gritted her teeth for a while, "You actually made me cry like a little girl." She was ashamed and angry, and said fiercely, "If you don't take this revenge, I swear you won't be human." After finishing speaking, she looked at Dharma body again and said, "Big Stone, will you help me?" "Oh, do you have a plan for revenge?" Dharma body looked at her with great interest. Watching C pursed her lips and smiled, her hair fluttering in the air, and all the charms gathered in her body. She said to herself, "A hero is only a beauty." After hearing this, Dharma body kept nodding in praise. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2107 Two-Color Seals. The moment he opened his eyes, the previous scenes immediately came to mind. Yang Kai was startled, and immediately sat up, frowning to feel the situation in his body. What surprised him was that the devilish energy that troubled him so much was completely gone at this moment, and there was nothing left in his body. On the contrary, there is an inexplicable pain in the lower abdomen. The pain is like burning and freezing, which is extremely weird. He hurriedly looked down, only to see a strange gold and silver two-color pattern on the lower abdomen, like a brand, appearing on his own flesh and blood. What is this? Yang Kai looked suspiciously at the brand mark. But just after his consciousness was immersed in the brand mark, his eyes suddenly went dark, and the whole world seemed to be darkened. In the boundless darkness, there was a violent aura roaring angrily, wanting to break free from some shackles, trying to get out of trouble. Yang Kai was shocked, biting the tip of his tongue, and a tingling sensation came, allowing his mind to regain clarity. Looking at the past again, how can there be any boundless darkness? Everything I saw before was just an illusion. Seal, he frowned, showing an expression of surprise and shock. By this moment, he had fully understood what had happened. The gold and silver two-color pattern imprinted on his lower abdomen is obviously an extremely profound seal. All the devilish energy in his body and a trace of devilish thoughts in his consciousness are all suppressed by this seal on his lower abdomen. Nothing leaked out. There is such a thing in the world. He let out a low cry, his expression changing. He has personally experienced how strong the devilish energy is and how ferocious the devilish thoughts are. With his strength, he was entangled in demonic energy and controlled by demonic thoughts, and he was able to fight fiercely with the 3 first-level emperors, which shows his tyranny. But at this moment, it's just a naturally generated seal that suppresses all of them. If he didn't deliberately spy on him, he wouldn't be able to detect the devilish energy and thoughts in his body at all, so how mysterious should this seal be, how strong is it? Thinking of this, Yang Kai immediately turned his head and looked towards the gold and silver trees. The next moment, his expression froze. The golden and silver trees that were thriving at first looked as if they were malnourished at the moment, with withered and yellow leaves and drooping heads, and the original golden and silver light was gone. He looked like he was seriously injured. The seal was obviously formed by a kind of mysterious power in the gold and silver two-color tree, so after the power was extracted, the two-color tree would become like this. The gold and silver tree only existed for about a year in the medicine garden. But the medicine garden in mysterious Shaoji contains countless heavy soils, 5 earth vein beads, which are extremely suitable for the growth of spiritual grasses and medicines. Surviving in the medicine garden for 1 year is basically equivalent to growing in the outside world for 100 years. The century-old essence of the gold and silver two-color tree was taken out by Yang Kai to form a natural seal, suppressing the ancient demonic energy and evil thoughts, which is not too outrageous. Thinking of this, Yang Kai's head shook, and then he became overjoyed. If what he thought was right, he wouldn't have to worry about being corrupted by demonic thoughts in the future. Although I don't know how long the seal at the lower abdomen can last, but as long as the gold and silver two-color tree is given another year, it will be able to regenerate that mysterious power. Even if the seal is loose, Yang Kai can use the gold and silver two-color tree to regenerate it. The power of the tree continued to suppress it. He was very curious as to what kind of ancient and strange tree this was, with such powerful power. Thinking of this, he took a shot. The next moment, the light flashed, and the Dharma body and watching sea appeared not far from Yang Kai at the same time. The worry has been resolved. Dharma body stared at Yang Kai, and couldn't feel any demonic energy from him, so he couldn't help being very surprised. Yang Kai nodded, and with a movement of spiritual mind, he poured all kinds of information into the Dharma body. After a moment of contemplation, Dharma body saw everything, nodded and said, "So that's how it is." He also looked at the gold and silver tree, his eyes burst into chalk. Little brother, hello." Watching sea squeezed out a smile. Her expression was a little unnatural. Yang Kai's previous majesty left her with an indelible psychological shadow, and the man surnamed Fu, who was comparable to her strength, being slapped to death with a single palm, although Yang Kai didn't kill her in the first place, but now as a prisoner, she doesn't have any sense of security, and when she spoke, she showed her amorous feelings intentionally or unintentionally, saying, "You, the state of the concubine is worried to death." Yang Kai glanced at her lightly, non-committal, said, "I ask you a question." "Brother, just ask," Watching Sea said in a dazed voice. "Do you recognize this kind of tree?" Yang Kai pointed to the gold and silver two-color tree. In his mind, since Watching Sea was born in the Star God Palace and has good strength, she should be knowledgeable, maybe she can know something. But to his disappointment, Watching Sea looked at the strange tree, her beautiful eyes were full of bewilderment, and she obviously didn't recognize it. On the other hand, the immortal tree on the side exuded a shocking aura of life, which made watching C take a few more glances, and a strange color flashed in her beautiful eyes. This is the eternal tree, Yang Kai explained. Watching C's tender body was shocked, and an expression of extreme shock appeared on her face. Her face changed drastically immediately. She covered her ears with her hands, while shaking her head constantly. She muttered, "I don't want to listen, I don't want to listen, I don't want to listen." Yang Kai was stunned, glanced at Dharma Body and said, "Is this woman crazy?" The Dharma Body chuckled. "The more you know, the more dangerous you are. She is very smart." "That's it." Yang Kai nodded slightly, looked at watching C teasingly and said, "Listen or not, you can't get free." "Stinky boy." Watching C suddenly became angry, gritted her teeth and looked at Yang Kai and said, "Did I offend you? Why did you torture me like this? Have you forgotten who saved your life when you were in danger before? It was me. If I hadn't stopped it in time, you would have died in the hands of that bastard Fu Stone. Not only did you not feel grateful, but you repaid your kindness with revenge. I am so blind that I thought of saving you. If I had known this, I might as well let you die well, at least I won't suffer from this imprisonment." Standing on the commanding heights of morality with a look of grief and indignation, she criticized Yang Kai. Her righteous words were strict and sonorous. Speaking of the excitement, her pretty face was red and angry, and her chest heaved violently. Yang Kai didn't say a word, just looked at her with great interest, and after she finished speaking, he slowly shook his head and said, "At that time, Fu Stone couldn't hurt me if you didn't make a move. If he really dared to do it, he would only suffer. It's me." In this regard, Yang Kai has full confidence. Although he couldn't control his own body at that time, how could the boundless devilish energy wrapped around his body be so easily broken? If Fu Stone really attacked him, he would only be backlashed by the devilish energy. Even so, then you can't deny my heart to save you. I am your savior, you can't treat me like this, imprison me here. Watching C gritted her teeth. Don't you have selfishness in saving me? Yang Kai looked at her with a smile. Watching C said angrily, "I have no grievances or enmities with you. I didn't even know you before. What selfishness do you have? You think you are so handsome and earth-shattering. My mother has taken a fancy to you. Are you from Star God Palace?" Yang Kai suddenly asked without thinking. "That's right," Watching C proudly replied, and threatened viciously, "I am indeed from the Star God Palace. If you are sensible, let me go immediately. If not, you will definitely be in great trouble. Although I didn't kill Han Lang, I was there when he died." Yang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly. "I don't understand what you're talking about." Watching C talked about him with a guilty expression. Yang Kai chuckled. "Fu Stone will appear in Fenggalan City. He came here to investigate the cause of Ningyuan City's death, and you didn't come here for Han Lang's death," he said lightly with a clear look on his chest. "Other than that, I really can't figure out why you powerhouses would condescend and come to a small maple forest city. It's not okay to pass by." Watching C insisted. "Are you really here for Han Lengji's death?" Yang Kai looked at her in surprise. If he was just guessing before, then he is completely sure now. When he said the words just now, Watching C had a very subtle emotional fluctuation. Putting it outside, Yang Kai might not be able to detect it, but here is that any disturbance in mysterious Shaoji cannot escape his divine sense. "You lied to me." Watching C was stunned and shouted angrily. "The death of an abandoned disciple, you actually asked you to investigate the reason. It seems that Han Lang is either from an extraordinary background or has some secrets." Yang Kai was thoughtful, rubbing his chin with his hand, and seemed to be talking to himself. In fact, his divine sense has never left Waqingxi's surroundings. The former is unlikely. It is rumored that Han Lang was chased and killed countless times by your Star God Palace disciples. If he really has any background and would not be treated like this, then it is the latter possible. "I'm fighting with you," Waqingxi suddenly screamed, urging her body's internal energy to attack Yang. Although Yang Kai's previous performance made her very afraid, but at this moment Yang Kai is only at the level of Daoyuan first level, and Waqingxi should be able to handle it on her own. But her thinking was obviously naive. Yang Kai just shook his hand, and the law of heaven and earth changed suddenly, directly freezing Waqingxi in midair. No matter how she struggled, it was useless, and in desperation, she could only wink at the Dharma body. Yang Kai glanced at Dharma body strangely, and said, "Didn't you tell her that in this world, everything is up to me?" She didn't ask again. Dharma body chuckled. "Then what does it mean when she winked at you?" Probably invite me to come with you. The fashion has an innocent expression on his face. Hey, what are you talking about so hotly? Watching C was shocked, and shouted at the Dharma body, Big Stone, don't you want to regain your freedom? Now is an excellent time, why don't you hurry up? Dharma body spread his hands at her and said, there is nothing you can do, you can mourn at your own discretion. Watching C had no choice but to judge the situation, she could only bite her red lips lightly, water rippled in her beautiful eyes, she looked at Yongkai pitifully, and said softly, little brother, I was wrong, please let me down. Quote. Dharmakaya was shocked and said, where's your integrity? If you don't speak, no one will think you are dumb. Watching C glared at the Dharma body angrily, and said through gnashing of teeth, traitor. Dharma body suddenly looked embarrassed. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Woishao. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2108. I never promised to join hands with you, how can you say that you are a traitor? Dharma body looked at Watching C innocently. I don't care. Watching C turned her head away, not to look at the Dharma body, and quickly spat in her mouth, traitor, 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 traitor. Stop messing around here, Yongkai snorted coldly and said, tell me, what secret is Han Lang holding? I don't know, Watching C replied simply, hee. Yongkai grinned, and said lightly, it seems that you haven't figured out how embarrassing your current situation is. Since that's the case, let's talk again when you clear your head. Having said this, he waved his hand. Watching C, who was suspended in midair, suddenly disappeared, and she didn't know where Yongkai threw it to mysterious Xiaoji. Immediately Yongkai made a formula with both hands, and volleyed into a few spirit skills, which seemed to be some secret technique for Watching C. Although this woman's IQ is worrying, she is not a bad person. Dharma body said suddenly. I know. Yongkai nodded, if she didn't have the heart to save me, I wouldn't have sent her in, I would have killed her long ago. It's good that you have a sense of proportion. After the Dharma body finished speaking, he glanced at Yongkai's body and said, you should deal with your injuries as soon as possible. Yongkai nodded and sat cross-legged next to the medicine garden. In the previous battle, he was entangled in evil thoughts, and he was brave enough to die. As a result, he fought endlessly with the three emperors and was injured many times. The power of the law of the three great emperors lingered in the wound, and it was difficult to heal. If it were an ordinary Daoyuan realm suffering from this kind of trauma, I am afraid that there is really no solution other than taking some panacea medicine to prevent the injury from getting worse. But in mysterious small boundary, Yongkai can use the law of heaven and earth in this space to get rid of the residual power of the law entangled in the wound. 3 days passed in a hurry, and Yongkai finally treated the injury. And with the help of the shocking vitality emanating from the immortal tree in the medicine garden, supplemented by its own strong recovery ability, Yongkai's injuries have basically healed at this moment, and there are no traces of injuries, but after the battle, there must be weakness and must be recovered. It takes a few days to fully recover. He left mysterious Xiaoji and appeared in Zhang's guest room. Lu Yan has been guarding in front of the mysterious boundary bead. When she saw Yongkai appearing, her beautiful eyes lit up, and she said with great joy, Master. While speaking, she glanced back and forth at Yongkai to confirm that he was safe and sound, and then she was obviously relieved. Thank you for your hard work. Yongkai nodded at her and reached out to take the mysterious boundary bead back. Lu Yan said, it's a matter of duty. Very good, you have also been promoted to the level of Daoyuanjing, congratulations. Lu Yan had been sleeping in the magma below Yuanding Mountain before, absorbing the scorching firepower of the magma. Yongkai felt that she was about to be promoted, but after waiting for a month and there was no movement, he had no choice but to set off for Fenggalan City. Fortunately, Lu Yan returned at a critical time, and with the help of the inseparable spiritual connection between the two, he awakened Yongkai's mind, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. My Dao source state is far worse than the master's. Lu Yan smiled slightly. Don't underestimate yourself. You are different from normal creatures, and you don't have such unique advantages. Since God let you take this step today, it will definitely let you go further. I hope. Lu Yan also showed a longing look. By the way, can you see if this is useful to you? Yongkai suddenly seemed to remember something, and took out something from his space ring. As soon as that thing appeared, the temperature of the whole room suddenly rose, and a breath of burning everything swayed leisurely. This is. Lu Yan's beautiful eyes narrowed, staring at what Yang Kai held in shock. It was a feather, a 3-foot-long feather, golden yellow all over, but on the feather, there seemed to be a black flame burning, and the elves danced. At first glance, the flame seemed to be able to burn the soul. The feather of the phoenix. Yang Kai explained. This dianfeng feather was picked up by him in Yuqing Mountain. It is not a feather left by a phoenix larva, but the divine feather of an adult holy spirit. This kind of thing has always been a priceless treasure, and it is no problem to use it to create the top secret treasure, but Yang Kai thinks that it should be the best choice to give it to Lu Yan. Sure enough, as soon as Yang Kai's words came out, Lu Yan's delicate body shook violently, staring at the phoenix feather, her beautiful eyes trembled slightly, and said shyly, "I can try to refine it." "It's the best." Yang Kai smiled and handed the feather over. Lu Yan took it and played with it fondly. Seeing her like this, Yang Kai immediately put her into the mysterious boundary bead and let her refine it by herself. Afterwards, Yang Kai walked out of the wing room and met with everyone in the Zhang family. Seeing Yang Kai's appearance at first glance, everyone in the Zhang family naturally greeted each other, especially Zhang Ruoxi. Although she was shy and didn't say a word, Yang Kai could feel her concern and peace of mind from her glances from time to time. After casually chatting with everyone in the Zhang family for a while, Yang Kai returned to the room, took out the sound beads, and told Mo Xiaoqi that he was safe. Xiaoqi was very happy, and immediately expressed that she would come to visit Yang Kai, but Yang Kai didn't even have time to stop him, so she cut off the contact and could only smile helplessly. Not long after, Yang Kai felt several tyrannical auras approaching from afar. Before the person arrived, a voice from a person came from afar. "Haha, Brother Yang, I will come to visit you later." The voice spreads all over the world, full of energy. After everyone in the Zhang family heard who was passing the message, they jumped up and down, and under the leadership of the Zhang family's mother, they all went out to greet them. After a while, light flashed, revealing several figures. The old lady of the Zhang family bowed slightly, and said loudly, "Your Excellency, the city lord, came to the shabby room, and the Zhang family's ponies are shining brightly. Please forgive me for my loss." The rest of the people have also seen Duan Yuanshan together. Duan Yuanshan waved his hand and said with a smile, "Old lady, you don't need to be too polite. I hope that the city lord will forgive me. Well, I'm here to meet younger brother Yang. I don't know him. Master Yang is resting in the guest room, please." Although the old woman's voice was steady, anyone could see her suppressed excitement. In normal times, how could a small family like the Zhang family get into the eyes of the city lord? Not to mention rushing from Fenggalan City in person, but at this moment, this impossible thing has come true. Even though it is known that this is because of Yang Kai, it is also a glory of the Zhang family. Now there are only a group of orphans and widows left in the Zhang family, and it is easy to be targeted by other families, but if the news of today is spread, those families who want to play Zhang's idea may not have the courage to really do it. Maybe, they still have to rely on the breath of the Zhang family. Seeing the hope of the Zhang family's rise, the old woman became more and more grateful to Yang Kai in her heart. "Excuse me." Duan Yuanshan smiled slightly, and was about to bring the other two down, but one of them turned into a streamer of light, rushed into the main house of the Zhang family, and disappeared in front of a guest room. So impatient. Seeing this, Duan Yuanshan could only smile wryly, but couldn't say anything. In the guest room, Kong Saran pushed the door open and saw Yang Kai looking at him with a smile. "Brother Yang, are you all right?" Kong Saran observed Yang Kai's state nervously, and after confirming that there was nothing unusual about him, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Listen to the city master and the others, you are outside the city. I was eroded by the devilish energy and almost became a devil, which really scared me to death. There is such a thing, but fortunately, the danger was saved in the end." Yang Kai nodded with a smile. Kong Saran said ashamedly, "Kong was in seclusion to hit the bottleneck at the time, and he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know the news until he left the seclusion the day before yesterday, but at that time you had disappeared, and the city lord and I went around even after searching. I still can't find your whereabouts. Kong is really ashamed of Brother Yang." Kong Saran's expression was not fake, and what he said was from the bottom of his heart. After all, if Yang Kai hadn't given him a Daoyuan pill, he wouldn't have become a Daoyuan realm martial artist. Moreover, Kong Saran could vaguely feel that the Dao source realm with the pill pattern brought him not only a big breakthrough but also some other changes. He couldn't tell exactly what those changes were, but he always had a feeling in his heart. the first level of Daoyuan is not the end of his martial arts, and he still has hope to go to the next level, and maybe he can get a glimpse of the mystery of the Emperor's level. This is already equivalent to the grace of regeneration. The kindness is so great that Kong Saran feels that he may not be able to repay it in this lifetime. Yang Kai's kindness to him was as great as a mountain, but when Yang Kai was in danger, he didn't know about it, which made Kong Saran feel extremely guilty. Seeing that Yang Kai is safe now, I finally feel better. Yang Kai said sternly. Brother Lao Kong has forgotten. Don't say that. Kong Saran scratched his cheek. Shopkeeper Kong and younger brother Yang have a good relationship. A voice came from Duan Yuenshin, who followed closely behind Mo Shaoqi. After seeing Yang Kai, Mo Shaoqi's eyes lit up, and he stuck out his tongue embarrassingly, and said, I originally wanted to come alone, but City Lord Duan and Shopkeeper Kong heard that you came back, so they insisted follow me. It's none of Miss Seven's business. It's true that Duan came here uninvited and didn't disturb Brother Yang's rest, right? Duan Yuenshin laughed. City Master Duan is out of touch. Yang Kai smiled lightly and nodded at Mo Shaoqi. The dormitory is simple and simple, just sit down. Duan Yuenshin was not polite, he found a chair and sat down on his own. Seeing this, Mo Shaoqi and Kong Saran let it be. After taking his seat, Duan Yuenshin looked solemn and said, Brother Yang, Duan wants to apologize to you first. What is the meaning of this, Lord City Master? Yang Kai pretended to be puzzled and asked. Duan Yuenshin said, at that time when Zhuang Pan fled, the Xuanwu 7th section formation collapsed without attack, and you were eroded by the demonic energy. Duan failed to save you. Every time I think about it, I feel very sorry. Yang Kai shook his head and said, City Master Duan is serious, I am naturally aware of the situation at that time, it is not your fault. Hearing what Yang Kai said, Duan Yuenshin smiled and said, Brother Yang is indeed a sensible person. HMPH, it's just greed for life and fear of death. Kong Saran said angrily from the side. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2109 Negotiation. Master Kong, when did Duan offend you? Duan Yuenshin looked at Kong Saran blankly. Speaking of which, although he and Kong Saran had no friendship before, they also had a lot of intersections. After all, Kong Saran is also a member of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, with a strong background. Even if his strength is not high, Duan Yuenshin can't ignore it. But ever since Kong Saran was promoted to the Dao Source realm, Duan Yuenshin found that his attitude towards him had become very contemptuous, especially after hearing about Yang Kai's accident, his attitude was even worse. While Duan Yuenshin was puzzled by this, he was also secretly annoyed. He felt that Kong Saran was a little arrogant once he became powerful. Being spurned by Kong Saran in front of Yang Kai at this moment, Duan Yuenshin naturally couldn't bear it, and his words were already a little angry. City Lord Duan was joking, what kind of virtue does Kong have? Is there anything that the City Lord can offend? Kong Saran said with a strange expression. Duan Yuenshin became angry. He is a City Lord after all, so it's fine if Kong Saran doesn't show face, and he teases and sarcasm with a stick in his words, it doesn't look good to anyone. Both of you should say a few words less. As soon as Yang Kai thought about it, he knew why Kong Saran suddenly didn't want to see Duan Yuenshin so much. He looked at him with a smile and said, under the circumstances at that time, City Lord Duan was really powerless. He could protect himself wisely and quickly. Leaving is a helpless move, and the fault is not on the City Lord. Brother Yang still understands the truth. Duan Yuenshin snorted coldly, his expression slightly amiable. Is that so? Kong Saran frowned, glanced at Yang Kai, and then clasped his fist at Duan Yuenshin and said, since Brother Yang said so, then Kong will accompany the City Lord. It is Kong who is reckless, I hope Lord City Master will not be offended. Duan Yuenshin's expression changed, and he said, Brother Kong is out. While saying this in his mouth, he was also very shocked in his heart. Because Kong Saran's change of attitude was only due to Yang Kai's words, looking at that posture, Kong Saran seemed to be following Yang Kai's lead. Otherwise, he was born in the Daoyuan realm of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, and there was no need to apologize to himself for showing weakness. Between these two people, it seems that it is not just a good relationship. Duan Yuenshin is suspicious, he really doesn't know what ability Yang Kai has to make Kong Saran of the same level so obedient. City Master Duan, where is Zhuang Pan? Yang Kai suddenly asked with a gloomy expression. If we talk about the culprit, it may not be Zhuang Pan, but he definitely has a lot to do with it. If it wasn't for this guy who was afraid of death and was frightened, he was the first to escape. Judging from the situation at the time, everyone can support it for a period of time. Qin Zhaoyang will not be injured, Du Lishan will not die tragically on the spot. As for whether Yang Kai will be eroded by demonic thoughts and entangled with demonic energy, it is uncertain. Moreover, there was some gap between Yang Kai and Zhuang Pan, so he naturally hated his greedy life and fear of death. I don't know where to go. Duan Yuanshan replied with a serious face, this matter is due to Duan's incomprehensibility. If he had known that Zhuang Pan was so greedy for life and fear of death, the city lord would not let him become a member of the formation no matter what. Everyone. After a pause, he continued. Zhuang Pan didn't return to Fenggalan City after he fled, but with his cultivation base, he should have been eroded by demon energy. But judging from what happened later, he should not be dead now, I just don't know where to hide. Don't let me see him, otherwise he will definitely regret being born in this world. Kong Saran snorted coldly, with killing intent like a wave. Duan Yuanshan glanced at him strangely, then said to Yang Kai, by the way, Brother Yang, what happened after that day? Hearing his question, Mo Shaoqi and Kong Saran also hurriedly looked over, looking very curious. Yang Kai smiled bitterly and said, I don't know about this either. At that time, I was eroded by the devil energy and my consciousness was chaotic. I only felt a darkness. When I woke up later, everything had settled down. He had already expected that someone would ask about this, so he prepared the answer in his heart. While speaking, he said suspiciously, however, I vaguely felt a few amazing power fluctuations at that time, but I didn't know if it was real or not. Duan Yuanshan continued. Brother Yang felt right. It was Chen Wenhao from the Heavenly Martial Holy Land and Master Chen from the other two sects who came here, and they seemed to have fought with something outside the city. Oh, Yang Kai showed a surprised expression, where are the three adults now, did they say anything? Duan Yuanshan frowned, and said, they didn't go to Fenggalan City, and they disappeared after that battle. As the Lord of Fenggalan City, it is quite embarrassing to talk about this matter. They all came to their 1-acre 3-point land, but they didn't meet with me, let alone said anything, obviously they didn't take themselves seriously. However, he is a Daoyuan 2-layer, so he naturally dare not accuse those Emperor's senior realm existence. So, those three adults exorcised the demon energy. Yang Kai said solemnly, the three adults really have amazing hands and eyes, and their strength is astonishing. It's really admirable to retreat after success. Duan Yuanshan's expression was also straightened, and he said, I have lifted the catastrophe in Fenggalan City, and I really should thank those three adults a lot. Even Kong Saran and Mo Shaoqi also seemed to agree, obviously feeling the devilish energy. The reason why they disappeared suddenly was all the credit of those three emperors, and had nothing to do with others. Yang Kai was so happy, naturally he would not expose it. Well, Duan is here, first to visit Brother Yang, second, also to ask you, would you like to live in my Fenggalan City? Permanent residence. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. That's right. Duan Yuanshan nodded, as far as I know, Brother Yang is not from any sect, and he doesn't seem to belong to any family. If Brother Yang is willing to live in Fenggalan City, Duan is willing to accept the position of Deputy City Lord. Brother Yang also knows that Zhuang Pan was the Deputy City Lord, but he ran away, and there is just a vacancy for the position of Deputy City Lord in Fenggalan City, and, with the strength of Brother Yang, he is also qualified. Quote. After finishing speaking, Duan Yuanshan looked at Yang Kai expectantly, as if he wanted him to agree. This, Yang Kai couldn't help showing a look of embarrassment. When everyone was defending Fenggalan City together, Yang Kai heard the news about this from Qin Chaoyang, saying that Duan Yuanshan intended to let Yang Kai become Fenggalan City. The third deputy city lord of Lincheng. Yang Kai's answer at the time was also ambiguous, but he didn't expect Duan Yuanshan to come over in person and ask this question face to face. Brother Yang is not a thing in the pool. Sooner or later, when there is a dragon soaring into the sky, how can the little Fenggalan City trap him? Kong Saran suddenly said from the side. Duan Yuanshan looked at Kong Saran the same way, then looked at Yang Kai, and said, Duan has a good idea. Yang Kai said with a wry smile, forgive me, Lord City Lord, but I am used to wandering alone, and I will not live in one place for a long time, so I can only appreciate the kindness of Lord City Lord. It doesn't matter, Brother Yang can give Duan an answer, and Duan is already satisfied. Mo Xiaoqi smiled and said, Brother Yang, if you want to leave Fenggalan City one day, tell me, and I will go with you to explore the world. Yang Kai glanced at her, and teased, it is natural to wish for beauty to accompany you. PFF'd. Mo Xiaoqi blushed immediately, and said with a coy look, Brother Yang is also so bad. Duan Yuanshan and Kong Saran laughed together. But when he looked at the huge birthmark on Mo Xiaoqi's face, he sighed in his heart. Without this birthmark, Mo Xiaoqi would be a stunning beauty, and now even with this birthmark, it still cannot conceal her beauty, but the birthmark does somewhat spoil the overall image. Afterwards, the three chatted for a while, before Duan Yuanshan and the others got up to leave. By the way, Brother Yang. Before leaving, Duan Yuanshan suddenly turned around and said, there is something that Duan will tell you when he finds out. What? Yang Kai looked at him suspiciously. The guy you got imprisoned disappeared into the cell in the city by some means. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said, the old liar. Exactly. Duan Yuanshan showed a strange look on his face. Although the warriors in the city were defending and guarding the city at that time, no one was guarding it, but since you have personally placed a ban on the strength of the seal, it is impossible for him to escape according to his cultivation level. But afterward, a jailer came to report that this person disappeared without a trace, leaving no clues. What a strange thing. Hee. Yang Kai smiled slightly. I see. Duan Yuanshan was stunned, and said in astonishment, you expected it. Seeing that Yang Kai was not surprised at all, how could Duan Yuanshan not have thought of this level? It's just a guess, but now it seems that the old guy is not simple. Yang Kai's mouth twitched. The old liar came from Musan City alone, and wanted to ask for help from Fenggalan City. With his Void King 3rd layer strength alone, he was able to safely enter and exit the boundless demonic energy. Obviously, he had some skills. After being restricted by Yang Kai, he disappeared from the cell without anyone noticing. How can the General Void King realm achieve this level? I don't know what secrets he has, that he has such a mysterious ability. Do you need to be hunted down? Duan Yuanshan asked. If necessary, Duan can help. No need. Yang Kai shook his head. I only imprisoned him for a moment of curiosity. I wanted to find out the secret of his free entry and exit of magic energy, to see if it can be used by warriors in the city in the future. Now that the danger has been resolved, there is no need to do anything superfluous. He has not done anything harmful, he just likes to cheat money. Since Brother Yang said so, then let him go. Duan Yuanshan chuckled, cupped his fists and said, Brother Yang, let's rest and recuperate these days, I will bid farewell. Yang Kai nodded, watched the three of them leave, and returned to the wing to sit down. Half an hour later, he opened his eyes again, and said calmly, since you're here, come in, what are you doing sneaking around outside? Provide. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2110 Despair. As soon as Yang Kai's voice fell, a person rushed in from the outside like lightning, and with a flick of his hand, the door was closed again. Looking at the person coming, Yang Kai cupped his hands and laughed, old Mr. Qin. The person who came was none other than Qin Zhaoyang, the patriarch of the Qin family. Brother Yang. Qin Zhaoyang saluted back, with a slightly embarrassed expression on his face. Yang Kai Dao. Old Mr. Qin is not recuperating in the clan, why did he come here? Qin Zhaoyang's complexion was not very good, obviously because he hadn't recovered from his last injury. But what made Yang Kai feel even more strange was that he didn't come to visit him with Duan Yuanshan, but sneaked here alone. Yang Kai thought about it, and understood what he wanted to do. The old man's injuries are fine. Qin Zhaoyang waved his hand, found a seat to sit down on his own, and said, I heard that Brother Yang returned safely, so the old man hurried over, never thinking about it, let the city lord my lord, they are one step ahead. So you are hiding outside? Yang Kai chuckled, some things are inconvenient to say in front of the city lord. Qin Zhaoyang said awkwardly. Hey, Yang Kai sighed, looked at Qin Zhaoyang sincerely and said, I probably know what Mr. Qin means, but, please forgive me for daring to refuse. Qin Zhaoyang wondered, you already know before I tell you. Yang Kai smiled bitterly. Mr. Qin came here, didn't he want me to join your Qin family? Am I acting so obvious? Qin Zhaoyang was taken aback. Yang Kai nodded. Old Mr. Qin has already made indirect remarks several times before. If I still can't figure it out, am I a fool? And, it is said that the Zhang family's property will also be taken over by the Qin family, and the Zhang family will have a big share. The Qin family just swallowed Jia in one gulp, and if there is not enough force to deter them, it may not be able to shock other people's eagerness to move. Brother understands me. Qin Zhaoyang's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he nodded repeatedly. That's why I came here on purpose, and wanted to hire my brother to be the grand elder of my Qin family. You and I join hands. I believe that other old guys will not dare to be presumptuous. Yang Kai sighed. I just rejected the deputy city lord Duan promised. When Qin Zhaoyang heard this, his expression darkened immediately, and he said in disappointment, that's it. Both of them are intelligent people. Yang Kai didn't need to explain too much. Qin Zhaoyang knew that he was useless. Yang Kai just refused Duan Yuanshan's solicitation. If he agreed to Qin Zhaoyang in a blink of an eye, he would definitely offend him if he told Duan Yuanshan to know in the future, and Duan Yuanshan would think that Yang Kai underestimated him and he would hold grudges. At that time, the Qin family can't stay out of it. Hiring a supreme elder, but offending the city lord's mansion, this deal is not worthwhile. Qin Zhaoyang is like a bright mirror in his heart. Looking at Qin Zhaoyang, Yang Kai said with some shame, originally, Mr. Qin taught me the method of formation and evolution of zhenwu 7-section formation. If the Qin family needs it, I am obliged to do so, but this matter. If I agree to your Qin family is harmful but not beneficial, you can only disappoint Mr. Qin. I'll take care of it. Qin Zhaoyang nodded. However, Yang Kai changed the subject and said, if the Qin family needs help in the future, I can do it as a friend, and then please don't be polite, Mr. Qin. Qin Zhaoyang raised his eyebrows when he heard the words, and said with a chuckle, with Brother Yang's words, I feel relieved. He looked overjoyed, very happy. Although this trip did not achieve the set goal, but with Yang Kai's guarantee, it was a worthwhile trip. Qin Zhaoyang said meaningfully, perhaps, this old man will need Brother Yang's help soon. Yang Kai nodded and said, I'll wait for your news. On that day, Qin Zhaoyang taught Yang Kai the method of forming the zhenwu 7-section formation through the jade slips, originally in exchange for a promise from him, that is, to protect Qin Yu's safety at a critical moment. If the city breaks down, he can take Qin Yu with him. Walk. But what happened afterwards was beyond everyone's expectations, and the catastrophe was passed without any risk, so the promise was naturally voided. And Yang Kai got the benefits of others, but refused to win others. He really felt sorry for him, and he also wanted to find an opportunity to return the favor. Afterwards, the two chatted casually for a few more words before Qin Zhaoyang got up to leave. He is injured and needs to be recuperated urgently, and now the Qin family is taking over the Zhang family's large property, and the family is very busy. Indeed, some of them are flawless. Time is precious, so naturally we can't delay. After Qin Zhaoyang left, Yang Kai was completely free and quickly adjusted his breath. A demonization made him a little weak, and the power far beyond his cultivation was displayed on him, and it was not without price. For several days, Yang Kai stayed in the wing room. Until one day, he opened his eyes again. His eyes were full of energy, his spirits were full of energy, his previous fatigue and weakness were gone, and he seemed to have recovered. Feeling the condition of his own body, Yang Kai made sure that he didn't leave any troubles, so he was relieved. He didn't go out immediately, but sacrificed the mysterious boundary orb, and with a flash of his figure, he entered the mysterious small boundary. Mysterious small world was still peaceful. Yang Kai felt it silently for a moment, and couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. He found that somewhere in mysterious small world, there was an unusually powerful force surging endlessly. His figure swayed, and he came directly to that position. In front of him, Lu Yan was sitting cross-legged, with one hand propped up, one hand and two fingers facing the sky, posing a posture, and he was performing profound arts. The power of thunder and fire in her body was violent and restless. With her as the center, the thunder snake swam around the ground with a radius of more than 10 miles, and the flames churned. But behind Lu Yan, there is a huge phantom, soaring through the sky and the earth, as if about to flap its wings and fly. Dianfeng. Yang Kai glanced at the phantom and was immediately startled. That phantom is impressively the figure of the ancient Holy Spirit Dianfeng that he has witnessed up close, but it is not a living thing, but a projection. But even the projection emits the breath of the Holy Spirit, and the black flames on the surface of the phantom are rolling, and the momentum is unstoppable. Lu Yan's expression was extremely difficult, as if he was performing some secret technique to a critical juncture. Yang Kai looked at it for a while, and knew that she was refining that phoenix feather at the moment. Although the progress was not particularly smooth, it was not very difficult. There is nothing he can do about this kind of thing. even if he is the master of mysterious Shaoji, he can't help Lu Yan at all she can rely on is her own will and determination. If the refining is successful, Lu Yan will definitely increase in strength. If it fails, it is very likely to encounter backlash. It is also fortunate that Lu Yan has been devouring the true sun fire in the true sun essence for these years to temper herself, and she has long been used to this kind of ultra-high-intensity energy entering her body, otherwise she would not be able to refine that energy at the first level of Daoyuan alone. Luanfeng Shenyu. But even so, success or failure depends on her own good fortune. Dharmakaya sat far away, closely watching Lu Yan's situation. Seeing the main body looking at the Dharma body, he just nodded slightly, and everything was silent. With Dharma body taking care of him, once Lu Yan had any problems, he would know immediately, so Yongkai left with peace of mind. While his figure was shaking again, he had arrived at another place in mysterious Shaoji. The place was empty, but a shivering figure was sitting on the ground with his knees hugged, as if hiding in an unknown corner, and he didn't know what kind of horror and torture he had encountered. His hair was loose, his face was slightly pale, and he was beautiful. She kept looking around vigilantly, her pretty face full of horror. Yongkai just appeared in front of her, but she didn't know it as if she didn't see it. This way. Yongkai looked at her and whispered, "It's almost there." Having said that, he snapped his fingers. The voice was not loud, but it was as shocking as morning bells and evening drums in Hua Qingxi's ears. She trembled suddenly, and when she looked up again, she found that the boundless darkness that had always enveloped her was finally replaced by dazzling light. And a figure that made her curse countless times in her heart, wishing she could be hacked into pieces, appeared not far in front of her, looking at her lazily. Seeing that person's face, Hua Qingxi's grievance and fright over the past few days turned into a flame of revenge at this moment, and she yelled softly, "I will fight with you." At the same time as he spoke, he shot towards Yongkai like an arrow from the string. With a twist of her delicate body, it turned into a butterfly, covering the sky and covering the earth, and immediately wrapped Yongkai tightly. Yongkai raised his hand, erected his palm knife, and slashed towards the void in front of him regardless of the bailing disc. There was a sound of hitting the ground, something was cut by the palm knife. Hey! Hua Qingxi's figure stumbled out of the void, and the bailing disc also disappeared at this moment. She covered her head with her hands and kept backing away, tears of pain almost flowed out. It seems. Yongkai looked at her leisurely, and said lightly, "You still haven't figured out your situation. If that's the case, then I'll give you some more time. When you think it over, we'll talk about it later." While speaking, he had to repeat the old trick. Hua Qingxi screamed suddenly, Don't, I was wrong, I don't dare to be presumptuous anymore, you go around me." In the boundless darkness, whoever is killed countless times by some strange existences every day, and feels the realistic death effect, I am afraid that they will not be able to persist. When she was killed for the first time, Hua Qingxi thought she was really dead. But I didn't expect that in just a moment, I came back to life. But life is worse than death, because not long after, she was killed by some weird existences. After many times, she finally understood that she had fallen into an extremely brilliant illusion, and was unable to extricate herself from the cycle of life and death. After dying hundreds of times a day, Hua Qingxi was almost numb. If she is not strong enough, this kind of torture alone is enough to drive her crazy. At this moment, seeing Yongkai as the culprit, he was naturally angry from the heart, and the evil was born on the side of the Gaul. In the end, he was subdued by others. Hua Qingxi is completely desperate. Very good, I am very pleased that you are so sensible. Yongkai glanced at her, nodded, and the old god stood still. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2111 Dragon Island Order. Hua Qingxi looked at him with jealousy and hatred. Thinking of the grievance, she pursed her mouth, sat down on the ground and threw up. You bastard, you have no conscience, you are not as good as pigs and dogs, I curse you to go to hell after death, never be reborn. Yongkai saw black lines all over his face. After waiting for a while, seeing that she still had no intention of stopping, Yongkai shouted angrily, Enough. Hua Qingxi's voice stopped abruptly, but she couldn't stop sobbing, her shoulders shrugged. A dignified Daoyuan third-layer realm, such an export is dirty, how decent. Yongkai reprimanded. Hua Qingxi said aggrievedly, Then what do you want me to do? I can't beat you, and I can't beat you, so I'm not allowed to swear. Be obedient and obedient, I will naturally not torture you again. Yang Kai snorted coldly. Watching C kept nodding, and said, I am obedient, I am obedient, I am the most obedient. While speaking, she reached out to wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes, and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying at Yang Kai. It should have been like this. Yang Kai snorted. After pondering for a while, he walked slowly to Watching C and stretched out his hand towards her. Watching C shrank back instinctively, as if she was extremely afraid, but seeing that Yang Kai was not malicious, she pursed her red lips, boldly stretched out her hand, and let Yang Kai pull her up. Follow me. When Yang Kai spoke, he urged his strength, and he teleported with Watching C. The vision in front of her was blurred, and when Watching C came back to her senses, the two had already arrived in a bamboo building. The bamboo building is simple, but elegant and clean. There is such a building here. Watching C wondered, is there someone living here? It used to be, Yang Kai replied lightly. Many years ago, when he brought his relatives and friends from Tongshuan continent to Gloom Star, there were tens of thousands of people living in mysterious Shaoji. There are naturally many houses left here. Sit down. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to signal, and sat down immediately. Watching C hesitated for a while, then sat opposite Yang Kai. I'll ask you a few questions, and you should answer them honestly, Yang Kai said after she sat down. Watching C nodded. You came to Fenggalan City to hunt down the cause of Han Leng's death? Yang Kai asked. Watching C hesitated for a moment, finally nodded and said, yes. Why? Yang Kai looked at her. Watching C considered her words for a while, and then said, Junior brother Han Leng is an abandoned disciple of the master. When junior brother Han escaped from the Xingshan Palace, he seemed to have stolen a treasure from the teacher. This time I came out to hunt down junior brother Han. The cause of death, the main purpose is to find that thing. What? The teacher didn't specify what it is, but only told me it was a token. Token? Yang Kai frowned, but soon, as if he remembered something, he took out a strange token from his space ring, handed it to Watching C, and said, this is it. This token is the size of a palm and made of a special material. It is neither gold nor wood. There is a word, dragon, on the front, and a real dragon pattern soaring through the sky is engraved on the back. The token was naturally found by Yang Kai from Han Leng's space ring, but Yang Kai didn't know what the token was for at the time, so he put it in the space ring and ignored it. But now I heard Watching C say that she was ordered by her master to come here for this token. Let Yang Kai immediately realize that this token is probably a bit of a big deal. Watching C is a martial artist at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, and her master is at least a strong man at the 2nd level of Emperor Zun. Something that can make the 2nd level of Emperor Zun never forget must have its value. Is this found in junior brother Han Leng's space ring? Watching C asked. Good. If there is no other token in junior brother Han Leng's ring, then it should be the target of my mission. Watching C looked at the token with a strange expression. Do you know what this is? Yang Kai kept watching her expression change when he asked this question. Watching C shook her head first, but reached out to pick up the token again, and began to grope and examine it carefully. The look in her eyes gradually changed. After a long while, her delicate body shook suddenly, and she covered her small mouth with her hand and let out an exclamation. Speak, Yang Kai urged impatiently. If I'm not wrong, this should be the famous Dragon Island Order. Watching C exclaimed. Dragon Island Order? Yang Kai frowned. What is that? You haven't heard of it? Watching C looked at Yang Kai in surprise, as if he was very surprised that he had never heard of such an existence as Long Dowling, and he was indeed very ignorant. But seeing Yang Kai's expression, he quickly swallowed the teasing words on his lips. She asked cautiously, I don't know if my lord has heard of Long Island. Dragon Island? Could it be that there are real dragons living on it? Yang Kai didn't answer the question, but immediately smiled again. I'm just joking. Watching C's face was tense, very serious. Then Dragon Island, couldn't there be real dragons living on it? Yang Kai asked tentatively. Watching C nodded. What nonsense. Yang Kai rolled his eyes. The real dragon is one of the most powerful existences in the ancient Holy Spirit. Existences like the real dragon and the phoenix should only exist in legends and ancient books, and should not exist in the world at all. Watching C's pretty face flushed, she gave Yang Kai a white look, and said, if Dragon Island really exists, then there are real dragons living there, and, more than one. The corner of Yang Kai's mouth twitched, not knowing what to say. Watching C said, It is rumored that Dragon Island is the most mysterious force in the entire star world, and it is also the most powerful force, because there are many descendants of real dragons living on Dragon Island, and there are even ancient dragons and ancient dragons. That is an existence that even the top 10 emperors are afraid of. However, we people don't know whether Dragon Island really exists. Only the most powerful warriors can get in touch with such secrets. Only they can find the way to Dragon Island. The order of the Dragon Island was handed down from the Dragon Island. Watching C continued, those who hold this order can go to the Dragon Island and unconditionally ask the Dragon Clan to do something within the range of the Dragon Clan. For example, if I go to Dragon Island with this Dragon Island token, I can definitely let the Dragon Clan display the power of a real dragon, and let me be promoted to the Emperor Senior Realm, and it's more than one level. At this point, Hua Qingxi's beautiful eyes were full of longing, and the hand holding Long Dowling became more and more forceful, and her breathing was a little short. Yang Kai stretched out his hand, and the Dragon Island Ling flew back to his palm, glanced at Hua Qingxi lightly, and said, "Continue to talk." Hua Qingxi smiled awkwardly, restrained the fanatic look on her face, and said, "From ancient times to the present, only 5 Dragon Island tokens have been handed down, and according to ancient legends, 3 of them were used, and these 3 Dragon Island tokens the use of the order caused the entire star world to shake." While speaking, she raised a finger and said like a treasure, "First, 80,000 years ago, Xuanxuangmen, the second largest sect in the northern region, was uprooted overnight, and none of the tens of thousands of disciples in the sect were spared. Including all Emperor Senior Realm powerhouses. It is said that until now, there are some dragon breath power left on the Xuanxuangmen ruins, and many warriors like to go there to find opportunities. Secondly, 50,000 years ago, I don't know which daring guy angered Zhenwu, the Holy Spirit. As a result, Zhenwu turned the entire southern region upside down in a rage. Countless creatures died, and the Zongmen family was destroyed. The top 10 emperors took action in person, but they still couldn't stop Zhenwu's berserk killing, and in the end Long Dao stepped forward to scare Zhenwu away. Otherwise, the southern territory will be devastated. Thirdly, 30,000 years ago, in the death of the Heaven Devourer, the most powerful human race at that time, it is said that the Dragon Clan also intervened. In that battle, the world collapsed, the stars shifted, and the laws were reversed. Heaven Devourer was killed by the Dragon Clan. Yang Kai suddenly interrupted Hua Qingxi. Fox asked. Hua Qingxi stuck out her tongue. "It's just a legend, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's also possible if I think about it. After all, the Heaven Devourer Emperor was the most powerful human race at that time. Even if other people join forces, they may not be able to defeat him. It is reasonable for the Dragon Clan to intervene in the killing." At this point, she looked at Yang Kai suspiciously and said, "Have you heard of the Heaven Devouring Emperor? You really treat me like a bumpkin." Yang Kai squinted at her. Hua Qingxi smiled coquettishly, and said, "Anyway, these 3 major events are said to be related to the use of the Dragon Island token. If the thing in front of you is really the Dragon Island token, then my lord, you should plan to use it carefully. It is a priceless treasure." "What are you so concerned about?" Yang Kai snorted coldly. Hua Qingxi muttered dissatisfiedly, "Can't you care about it? Are you sure this is the Dragon Island order?" Yang Kai asked. Hua Qingxi shook her head. "I have never seen what the real Dragon Island token looks like, but judging by its pattern and material, it should be very possible. If you are not at ease, you might as well find a knowledgeable ask someone, maybe you can get some clues." Whether Dragon Island really exists, or even if it exists, it is unclear where it is. "It is too early to consider the Dragon Island token," Yang Kai said, and put away the token again. "However, he does have a candidate in mind who can tell the truth. Maybe he can really know the accurate information." "My lord," Hua Qingxi twitched, seemed a little restless, looked at Yang Kai and said, "I have said everything I should say, you see. Don't even think about it." Yang Kai refused. "Then do you want to keep me here forever?" Hua Qingxi was depressed. "I am from the Star God Palace, and I was ordered by my teacher to search for the relics of junior brother Han. If I don't go back for a long time, my family the teacher will definitely find it by himself, and maybe he will track you down." Speaking of this, she nodded heavily, and said affirmatively, "You will definitely be tracked down, and you don't want to be targeted by your master, right? He has the cultivation base of the 2nd level of Emperor Senior, so you let me go quickly. Let's get together and get together." To be continued. This text is provided by the Breakdawn Update group at Weizhou Sheng. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 2112 Inquire. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yang Kai stood up, looked down at her condescendingly, raised the corner of his mouth, suddenly showed a smile, touched his chin and said, "Actually, if you want to regain your freedom, it's easy." "What do you mean?" Watching C shivered, looked at Yang Kai vigilantly, and said, "What do you want to do?" Yang Kai snorted and said, "Don't worry, I don't have much interest in you. But if you really want to regain your freedom, you can obediently hand over your soul mark to me. Maybe I can consider it. Strength is pretty good for me now." Wishful thinking. Watching C gritted her teeth, not waiting for Yang Kai to finish speaking. Then, "Goodbye." Yang Kai waved at her and left mysterious Xiaoji directly. Watching C was left alone in a daze, and after a long while, she cried out in grief, "Come back, come back, come back." In the wing room, Yang Kai reappeared. After a moment of contemplation, he turned into a ray of light and rushed out of the Zhang family's old house, heading towards Fenggalan City. After a while, he had already arrived in Fenggalan City. He didn't look for Mo Xiaoqi and Kong Saran, but went straight to where the Qin family was. He has been to the Qin family once, so he is familiar with the road, and he has already noticed Qin Yu's position with just a glance of his divine sense. He didn't mean to hide his breath either, he just walked over there ostentatiously, and after a while, he came to a side room and gently closed the window. "Who?" A low voice came from inside. Yang Kai responded. There was silence in the room for a while, but soon, there was a sound of light footsteps moving, coming to the window, and opening the window. Qin Yu looked at Yang Kai with a look of surprise but puzzled, and said, "Yang, Master Yang. It's so late, what can you do with me?" "Well, there's something I want to ask you." Yang Kai replied, looking inside with his head, and said, "Can I go in and talk about it?" Qin Yu blushed and said, "My lord, please come in." As soon as her voice fell, Yang Kai flashed in through the window. Qin Yu blushed even more. At this moment, it is night time when Yang Kai does not enter the main entrance but finds another way through the window. If someone who does not know the truth sees it, I am afraid that there will be some misunderstandings. However, Qin Yu was quite relieved towards Yang Kai. After all, with Yang Kai's strength, if he really wanted to have any plans against her, he could do it without anyone noticing. There was no need to deliberately reveal his identity. The fragrance in the room is pleasant, and the layout is warm and elegant. This should be Qin Yu's boudoir. Although Yang Kai knew that his trip was a bit rash, he didn't care too much. After sitting down, Qin Yu took the initiative to offer tea and said, "I don't know what my lord wants to ask me." Yang Kai picked up the teacup and took a sip, said, "Miss Qin is beautiful and intelligent, she is extremely intelligent, and she is the only one I have ever seen in my life. I came here this time mainly to ask the girl to explain my doubts." Qin Yu pursed his lips and said with a light smile, "My lord praised the little girl just because she has read more books. If there is something that the little girl can contribute to, the lord just speaks out, 'You're welcome.'" Yang Kai grinned. "Then I'll get straight to the point, but I hope today's conversation. The little girl swears by her soul that she will never reveal it to a third person." Qin Yu said seriously. Yang Kai looked up at her and thought that it would be easy to talk to a smart person, and then said, "Before I was outside the city, I was eroded by demonic energy, and I almost became a member of the demonic people, and the girl must have seen it." When Qin Yu heard this, a look of fear flashed in her beautiful eyes. She nodded lightly and said, "Well, finally, the auspicious man has his own appearance, and the crisis is at peace. During the period when I was eroded by the devil's energy and transformed into a devil, many strange pictures appeared in my mind." Yang Kai said casually. Qin Yu was surprised. "Many strange pictures?" "That's right." Yang Kai nodded and said, "At that time, we used secret techniques to spy on the figure of the ancient troll from Zhang Chuhei's Sea of Consciousness, so I guessed that there might be a trace of the ancient troll's will in the devilish energy, and we kept it. After being eroded by the demon energy, the troll's many knowledge and experiences during his lifetime had the opportunity to see these things." "My lord is right, and I think so too," Qin Yu said happily as if he had found a confidant. "However, what I saw and what Zhang Chuhei saw were different. Although those pictures were all intermittent, there was no figure of the ancient troll." "Oh, what kind of pictures are those?" Qin Yu became interested. Yang Kai showed a pensive look, and said in a low voice, "There are too many pictures, I only see two of them clearly. The first one is a seed with half of gold and silver, After planting, spring will come, autumn is gone, cold is coming and summer is coming. That kind of seed has become a golden and silver two-colored tree, and the golden and silver two-colored light is wrapped around it, overlapping and alternating, as if it has great power. Gold and silver two-colored tree. Chinyu heard this, her pretty face was full of surprise, and she covered her mouth and let out a coquettish cry. Yeah, Yongkai nodded solemnly, looked at her and said, I don't know if Miss Chin knows what this kind of gold and silver two-color tree is. The little girl seems to remember seeing the record of this kind of different tree somewhere. Chinyu frowned and tried to recall. Yongkai's expression shook, and he looked at her expectantly. But after a long time, Chinyu couldn't give a correct answer, and she kept shaking her head and said, Sorry, my lord, I have indeed seen this kind of record, but I won't remember it for a while, so how about it, my lord? Give me a few days, and I will check the classics I have read before, and I should be able to find relevant records. It's okay, I'm not in a hurry anyway, I'm just curious about what it is. Yongkai chuckled, although he was a little disappointed in his heart, he didn't show it. What about the second picture your lord saw? Chinyu asked. A token, the size of a palm, made of strange materials, not gold or wood, with a dragon character on the front, which seems to be written in ancient characters, and a real dragon pattern soaring through the sky on the back. Dragon Island Order. This time, Chinyu gave the answer just after Yongkai finished describing it. Is that really the Dragon Island Order? Yongkai was overjoyed. Although watching C also told him that it might be a piece of Longdao token from Longdao, but he didn't fully trust it. What's more, watching C herself couldn't judge whether the judgment was correct. But now that Chinyu said so, it is likely to be true. If your lord's description is correct, then it is definitely the Dragon Island token. Chinyu seemed to be blushing with excitement. It is said that only 5 Dragon Island tokens have been handed down since ancient times, and 3 of them have been used. There are only 2 left outside. What she said was basically the same as what Watching Si told Yongkai before, whether it was the number of Dragon Island orders, or the time and place used. It can be seen that in this matter, Watching Si did not deceive Yongkai. But, Chinyu was talking, his expression became puzzled again, and he asked in puzzlement, how could the Dragon Island token appear in the remaining will of the ancient troll? Why can't it appear? Yongkai asked back, because the time is wrong. When the ancient troll was sealed, the Dragon Island token should not have come out. How did the troll know? Chinyu looked puzzled. When Yongkai heard it, he screamed inwardly. He only wanted to ask Chinyu what he didn't understand, but he didn't expect her mind to be so smart that she caught an obvious flaw all at once. I don't know about this, maybe that troll can feel that Longdao Ling is a threat to him. Yongkai laughed. It's also possible. Chinyu didn't think about it deeply. After all, the time is too long to prove it. Okay, I'm here this time, just to find out about this. It's getting late at night, girl, let's rest and say goodbye. While speaking, Yongkai stood up. Chinyu got up to see them off, and said in his mouth, the matter of the gold and silver two-colored trees, the little girl will inquire as soon as possible, and if there is any news, the adults will be notified as soon as possible. Okay, Yongkai nodded, walked out from the main entrance, and disappeared in a flash. After a while, Qin Zhaoyong suddenly appeared in front of Chinyu's door, staring at Yongkai's disappearing back, and asked with a strange expression, what is Brother Yang looking for you for? Ask me something, Chinyu said. What's the matter? Qin Zhaoyong was stunned. Chinyu stuck out his tongue and said, secret. Qin Zhaoyong was surprised, and immediately shook his head and smiled wryly. You little girl, you're not telling the truth to your ancestors, are you? Chinyu said helplessly, if I don't say it, I can't. But I can tell the ancestor that what Master Yang asked has nothing to do with Fenggalan City, and it has nothing to do with my Qin family. Qin Zhaoyong understood, nodded and said, that's good. After being silent for a while, he sighed, looked at Chinyu and said, how is your health? It's okay, Chinyu replied. Nonsense. Qin Zhaoyong's face was serious. Don't think that I don't know, Patriarch, you spent a lot of effort to repair the seal last time, and your physical condition simply can't support it for too long. Chinyu remained silent. Qin Zhaoyong sighed. With your resources, if you don't have that kind of physique, you may not have the opportunity to reproduce the glory of our Qin family ancestors. It's just hateful, the old man is weak, and I can only try my best to help you. If you continue your life and cannot be cured, it is the ancestor who is ashamed of you. Chinyu's eyes turned red, and he said in a low voice, don't say that, Patriarch. If it wasn't for Patriarch, Yuer would have died 3 years ago. Yuer is already very happy to live for 3 more years. Yuer's only it's a pity that I can't serve my ancestors forever, but I have to worry about my ancestors. Don't worry, the ancestor will find a way for you, and he will definitely not let you die young. Qin Zhaoyang said in a deep voice. After finishing speaking, he also flashed his figure and disappeared. Qin Yu opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something, but Qin Zhaoyang was nowhere to be seen. But she just thought about it for a while, and she seemed to understand what Qin Zhaoyang was planning, and her pretty face changed drastically. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at woixiaowati. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2113 The Reaction of Ethereal Jade. Hearing the movement, looking up, Zhang Ruoxi's beautiful eyes shone with joy. She got up quickly, and said in a panic, "Sir." Yang Kai glanced at her, smiled and said, "What? Do you think that I left alone regardless of your Zhang family, and shed tears here?" Zhang Ruoxi pursed her red lips and shook her head slowly. "Then why are you crying?" Yang Kai said. Zhang Ruoxi said softly, "Since Ruoxi has followed Mr., she has nothing to do with the Zhang family. Ruoxi thinks that Mr. doesn't want me anymore." At this point, she suddenly plucked up her courage and raised her head looking at Yang Kai. He said in a deep voice, "Sir, Ruoxi knows that she is weak and can't help you. Instead, Mr. has been taking care of me. But, Ruoxi can serve you tea and water, make the bed and fold the quilt, do some trivial things for you, you can be a slave." After she finished speaking, she seemed a little shocked that she could say such a thing, and quickly lowered her head again, blushing on her pretty face, bowed her knees, and quickly said, "Ruoxi is rude, sir, rest." After the words fell, he turned and wanted to leave. "Let's go now." Yang Kai suddenly stopped her. Zhang Ruoxi's delicate body trembled, and she stood there uneasy, and said in a trembling voice, "Mister, do you have any orders?" I don't know what she thought of. She looked nervous like a thorn on her back. Her 2 small hands were placed on her abdomen, unconsciously entangled, her face was as red as a fire, and there was a shock like a drum in her small chest. Heartbeat. Yang Kai looked at her, and said seriously, "Don't underestimate yourself, since I promised the old lady to bring you by my side, naturally there is something that needs your help." "Where can I help?" Zhang Ruoxi's beautiful eyes lit up when she heard the words, and said earnestly, "What do you want me to do, sir? Can you tell me?" Yang Kai smiled and said, "I originally wanted to wait for your strength to improve before telling you. Since you are so eager, then, it doesn't matter to tell you first." While speaking, Yang Kai took out the piece of ethereal jade that was obtained from Lu family Lu Baichuan from his space ring. As soon as this piece of ethereal jade appeared, Zhang Ruoxi trembled, staring fixedly ahead, and murmured, "This feeling." At this moment, the ethereal jade bai seems to be inspired by some existence, and it constantly emits fluctuations in the power of space, causing the space where it is located to be chaotic for a while, as if it is about to sink into the void. Lu Baichuan was right. Zhang Ruoxi was indeed the key to inducing the ethereal jade to react. As long as Zhang Ruoxi was within a certain range of the ethereal jade, this piece of jade would exude mysterious power. It is precisely because of this reason that Lu Baichuan was able to get started in space power. He even tried every means to get rid of the vital power of the Zhang family, and then let Zhang Ruoxi marry into the Lu family. In this way, he will have a lot of opportunities to study the ethereal jade in the future, and even use the clear space power to improve his own strength. 1 floor. With a wave of Yang Kaizhang's hand, the law of space surged, completely sealing off the world where the wing room was located, and isolating the transmission of power fluctuations. "What can you feel?" Yang Kai looked at Zhang Ruoxi and asked. "Ruoxi can't tell." Zhang Ruoxi slowly shook her head, "But, this feeling is very familiar. When I was a guest at Lu's house, I often had this feeling, as if I was in a certain Lu family. This place, something is calling me, that's how I feel now, it's just that before. It's not as strong as it is now." Yang Kai nodded, secretly thinking that the connection between Zhang Ruoxi and ethereal jade bai should be two-way. "Then do you recognize this thing?" Yang Kai asked. Zhang Ruoxi shook her head slowly. "I got this from Lu Baichuan." Yang Kai said. "Uncle Lu's stuff." Zhang Ruoxi was surprised. Even though Lu Baichuan was the bloody enemy of the Zhang family, Zhang Ruoxi still didn't call her indiscriminately, which shows that this little girl's heart is still very pure and kind. However, according to Lu Baichuan, this thing originally belonged to your Zhang family. Yang Kai said again, it seems that when a generation of girls from the Zhang family married into the Lu family, they took this thing as a dowry and brought it to the Lu family. Since it's a dowry, it should belong to the Lu family. Zhang Ruoxi smiled slightly. Yang Kai Dao. No matter who it belongs to, it's rooted in your Zhang family. Your Zhang family ancestor, has there been any great people? Zhang Ruoxi shook her head and said, Ruoxi doesn't know, but when I was young, I heard from my grandmother and the others that my Zhang family seemed to be a top family a long time ago, but for some unknown reason, it gradually declined. That's right, Yang Kai nodded. But, why does this thing have a strange reaction with me before? What about the rest of my Zhang family? Zhang Ruoxi looked bewildered. Other people should not have it, the reason why it is you. Speaking of this, Yang Kai paused, and said, there are two possibilities. One is that there is some blood power in your body, and this blood power it is richer than the rest of the Zhang family, so it can react with the ethereal jade bai. The power of this bloodline should come from the owner of the ethereal jade bai, an ancestor of your Zhang family. What about another possibility? What special physique do you have? Yang Kai looked at Zhang Ruoxi, shook his head slowly and said, I personally think this is unlikely, because according to my observation for many days, you don't have a special physique. Then the first possibility is the big one. Zhang Ruoxi continued. That's right. Yang Kai smiled slightly, it's not clear about the power of your bloodline, maybe your bloodline is very similar to that ancestor back then, so you can sense the ethereal jade. Oh, Zhang Ruoxi didn't react too much when she heard the words. Are you unhappy? Yang Kai looked at her with interest. Zhang Ruoxi frowned and said, why do you ask such a question, sir? Yang Kai smiled and said, it seems that you don't know anything. Well, let's explain it this way, your bloodline power is extremely similar to that ancestor, and this ethereal jade has to be admitted to a certain extent. In the future, the achievement is very likely to stand shoulder to shoulder with your ancestor. Yang Kai's voice suddenly sank, and continued, the ethereal jade is not a mortal thing, to be his master, at least he must be a strong emperor. Hearing this, Zhang Ruoxi seemed to finally understand, and said with a startled expression, Sir, what do you mean? Ruoxi may become a strong emperor in the future. Yang Kai nodded. Great. Zhang Ruoxi had a joyful expression on her face, if this is the case, then Ruoxi will definitely be able to help your husband. Hearing this, Yang Kai was stunned for a while. After she learned that she might become Emperor Senior Realm in the future, the first thing she thought of was to help herself. This warmed Yang Kai's heart. Sir, can I have a look at this thing? Zhang Ruoxi looked at Yang Kai eagerly and asked, then looked at the ethereal jade bai in his hand. This thing is related to her future, and she immediately fell in love with it. I was going to show you. Yang Kai smiled and handed over the ethereal jade bai. To be honest, since he obtained the ethereal jade bai, he has also studied it several times, but he found nothing. He only knows that this thing has been sacrificed with great supernatural powers, and it should be a secret treasure, but he doesn't know how to use it. He is proficient in the power of space, and has even mastered the laws of space. Even he is helpless against the ethereal jade. If there is anyone in this world who can understand the mystery of the ethereal jade, it must be Zhang Ruoxi. Zhang Ruoxi took it excitedly. A scene that neither of them expected appeared. As soon as the Jade Bio came into contact with Zhang Ruoxi, it was shocked, and a strong wave of power erupted. And Zhang Ruoxi's tender body trembled violently at this moment, as if an electric current rushed through her body. A strange sound came out, and brilliant streams of light flashed across the surface of the ethereal jade that had been motionless all this time. Immediately afterwards, a pair of strange images shot out from the jade bai, like projections, filled the entire room, and revolved around Zhang Ruoxi and the jade bai. Yang Kai's face turned cold, he frowned and looked over, and suddenly found that the images were flickering extremely fast, but with his eyesight, he could still see a lot clearly. Pavilions, clouds, mountains and mist, jagged rocks, towering peaks, soaring cranes, gatherings of birds, tinkling springs, beautiful peaks. Those pictures, as if they were cut out from a fairyland on earth, make people dazzled and forget to return. Yang Kai was stunned, but at this moment, Zhang Ruoxi suddenly let out a groan, and the aura on her body weakened rapidly, showing an expression of extreme pain. At the same time, a mysterious space power fluctuated up and down in the wing room. Yang Kai vaguely saw a dark void corridor, which suddenly appeared in the center of the wing room, slowly forming but extremely unstable. There was chaos and nothingness in the tunnel, and it was unknown where it connected to. Throw away! Yang Kai yelled loudly, mobilizing the internal energy of the body, mobilizing the law of space, suppressing the condensation of the void tunnel, and at the same time, he rushed to Zhang Ruoxi and snatched the ethereal jade. Come over. The picture of the whole room suddenly disappeared, and the void corridor in the center of the room suddenly collapsed and disappeared. Zhang Ruoxi snorted softly and fell limply on the ground. Yang Kai's complexion couldn't help but change drastically. He never thought that this kind of thing would happen just by letting Zhang Ruoxi hold the ethereal jade. If he had known this earlier, he would never have taken such a risk. Putting away the ethereal jade by, Yang Kai bent down and hugged Zhang Ruoxi, his hands were sticky. In that short moment, Zhang Ruoxi was drenched with sweat. After placing her on the bed, Yang Kai stretched out his hand to grab her wrist. Yuanli turned around her body, his face extremely gloomy. He discovered that the vitality in Zhang Ruoxi's body had been extracted a lot, which seriously injured her vitality. The internal condition of a girl who was originally a teenager was no different from that of a girl who had lived for decades. This kind of fundamental damage cannot be repaired by ordinary panacea. If left alone, Zhang Ruoxi's body will age rapidly. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Woixiaowati. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2114 Refining Dragon Blood. Yang Kai didn't think too much about it. After finding Zhang Ruoxi's life loss, he sacrificed the mysterious boundary orb directly, took her into the mysterious small boundary, and came to the side of the medicine garden. Putting Zhang Ruoxi flat on the ground, Yang Kai stretched out his hand, and the world was shaken, setting off a tangible wind. On the immortal tree planted in the distance, a touch of green aura visible to the naked eye flew along the wind, lingering around Zhang Ruoxi's body, wrap her in a circle, and pour water along the pores. Since the vitality is lost, it only needs to be replenished. The astonishing power of life emanating from the immortal tree is just the right medicine. Sure enough, Zhang Ruoxi's frowned brows relaxed after receiving the vitality from the tree of immortality, and the pain disappeared, replaced by incomparable joy. Yang Kai's spiritual mind searched leisurely, and found that the situation in her body was also improving rapidly, and the aging organs and meridians reglowed the luster of youth. The reason why she encountered this kind of misfortune was entirely due to external forces, so the vitality emanating from the immortal tree can solve this problem very well. If an old man who was dying came here, would he be able to regain his vitality? That's hard to say. After a full hour, Yang Kai checked again and confirmed that Zhang Ruoxi was safe and sound. Not only that, but the old tree was nourished with vitality, and she seemed to have gained some other benefits. Only then did he bring Zhang Ruoxi out of mysterious Shaoji and sent her to her own boudoir. Zhang Ruoxi is still in a coma, but it shouldn't be long before she wakes up. However, Yang Kai did this to confirm his previous guess. Zhang Ruoxi's cultivation was not enough, and he was still unable to understand the mysteries contained in the ethereal jade. It is precisely because of insufficient cultivation that the vitality in the body is forcibly extracted. But, where did those scenes come from? Where does the unformed void corridor lead to? While Yang Kai was puzzled, he was also looking forward to finding the answer. He instinctively felt that there was a shocking secret hidden in the ethereal jade by. Returning to the wing room, Yang Kai laid down the enchantment, and secretly transmitted the sound to the Zhang family's mistress, telling her that he was going to retreat for a while, and he would not see any guests before leaving the customs, and only after receiving a response did he enter the mysterious Shaoji again. He first went to check on Lu Yan's situation, and found that she was still refining the phoenix feather, fighting against the power of the phoenix contained in the divine feather. Although the situation was anxious, there was not much danger. He didn't pay attention for too long, so he searched for a secluded place and sat down cross-legged. This sitting lasted for 2 days, until Yang Kai recovered to a peak state. Yang Kai stretched out his hand, and two things suddenly appeared in front of him. A jade bottle, a sword without edge or edge. In the jade bottle, there is a drop of dark red liquid tumbling, and from time to time, the dark red liquid will turn into a miniature dragon rushing left and right, spouting flames from its mouth, burning the jade bottle, as if it has spirituality, wanting to get out of trouble. The blood of the fire dragon. Yang Kai got it from the dragon rising altar on the first floor of the 5-color pagoda, but he hasn't used it since he got it. Another sword without edge and edge is naturally Yang Kai's dragon bone sword Dikyui. The dragon bone sword is a piece of dragon spine he found in the gloomy star stream sand, plus a dragon ball, which was roughly refined, and did not destroy the characteristics of the material. At this time, Yang Kai took out these 2 dragon secret treasures from the body of a real dragon. The purpose is self-evident: refining. He has already refined a dragon secret treasure, which is a piece of dragon scale, which has been placed on the vital part of his chest. With the strong defensive power of the dragon scale, Yang Kai has benefited many times in battle. To this day, he still remembers the pain he endured when refining the dragon scales into his body. He didn't think about continuing to refine the dragon's secret treasure before, because he didn't have enough cultivation. But now, he has been promoted to the level of Daoyuan realm, and it is probably impossible to improve the realm in a short time. If he wants to enhance his combat power, he can only find a way from other places. Refining dragon blood and dragon bone sword into the body is the most direct and effective method. He has the demon transformation art, and the original power of Jin Shenglong is enough to make such impossible things possible. After looking back and forth between the dragon bone sword and dragon blood for a while, he resolutely picked up the jade bottle. Seems to have noticed something. The mini dragon in the jade bottle turned his head, glared at Yang Kai, opened his mouth, and a pillar of fire rushed towards Yang Kai's face. But the jade bottle is not a mortal thing. Since it can store the blood of a real dragon, it is obviously specially refined, so the movements of the miniature dragon are impossible to cause any harm to Yang Kai, but make it look ridiculous. Yang Kai raised the corner of his mouth and opened the bottle directly. At the same moment, the miniature dragon in the jade bottle jumped out from the mouth of the bottle. With a flick of its tail, it turned into a flame and was about to escape. But in mysterious small world, everything is controlled by the heart. How can it escape from Yang Kai's palm? Yang Kai just stretched out his hand to grasp the void, and the fire light was fixed in midair. The miniature dragon struggled constantly, and even roared in its mouth, but still couldn't break free from Yang Kai's shackles. The power of the law of heaven and earth is added to you, and the little dragon recondenses into a drop of dragon blood in the midst of extreme unwillingness. It is like scorching magma, exuding a scorching breath. Yang Kai took another shot, and the dragon blood flew in front of him. He waited and watched for a while, and his face became a little nervous, but he still didn't hesitate much, opened his mouth, circulated the source force to wrap the dragon's blood, and swallowed it directly. Immediately afterwards, he immediately used the demon transformation art, supplemented by his Daoyuan cultivation level, and began to refine that drop of pure fire dragon blood. The dragon's blood entered the entrance and rolled down the abdomen. Yuanli seemed to be unable to bear the scorching temperature, and was directly burned to death. The lower abdomen was scorching hot, as if a volcano had been thrown into it, constantly erupting hot magma. Yang Kai didn't dare to be negligent, and continued to increase the transmission of source power, continuously impacting the little spirituality contained in that drop of dragon blood, wanting to kill it. Time passed slowly, and the place where Yang Kai was located seemed to have become scorched earth. The ground dried up, the nearby trees began to wither, cracks appeared on the ground, and even the space was distorted by the sight affected by the intense heat. In Yang Kai's body, the sound of the dragon's chant continued to be heard, and the spirituality contained in the dragon's blood seemed to be doing the final struggle and resistance. At a certain moment, the sound stopped abruptly. At the same time, Yang Kai only felt a surging and hot force erupting from his abdomen, unreasonably rushing into his meridians and flesh and blood. He snorted, his face suddenly pale. The divine sense swept across, and he could clearly see the damage to his own meridians and flesh, and where the terrifying scorching power passed, his physical body was severely injured in an instant. After all, it is the blood of a true dragon, stronger than Yang Kai's body, and it is somewhat unbearable. Fortunately, the golden blood in the body began to exert a strong recovery ability, resisting the destruction of the scorching power in the dragon blood, and gradually maintained a balance. At this moment, Yang Kai seemed to be sitting at the crater of an erupting volcano, and the high temperature made him feel a little fuzzy. And in the middle of the haze, Yang Kai even had a hallucination in front of his eyes, as if there was an ancient true dragon, with a fiery red body, and the dragon's eyes were majestic and terrifying, floating in front of him and staring at him. Then, the ancient true dragon let out a deafening roar, opened its mouth wide, and bit towards Yang Kai, wanting to swallow him in one bite. HMPH. At this moment, Yang Kai's eyes flashed brightly, and he shouted, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." After the words fell, the original power of the Golden Saint Dragon swayed leisurely in his body, and at the same time, it turned into a golden dragon figure, which appeared behind Yang Kai, and rushed towards the opposite fire dragon with its teeth and claws. The fire dragon never expected to encounter such a thing. This scene appeared suddenly, and it was obviously stunned. At the same time, the majestic dragon's eyes flashed with fear and panic, and it retreated again and again. Although each dragon clan is born powerful, they rely too much on the power of their bloodlines, and the suppression of bloodlines deeply rooted in their bodies is extremely obvious. The bloodlines of Jin Shenglong is undoubtedly much higher than that of Fire Dragon. The Fire Dragon backed away, but the phantom of the Golden Dragon didn't stop. It pounced on it, and opened its mouth to tear it apart. The body of the Fire Dragon, which looked majestic, was like paper paste. It was bitten by the Golden Dragon, and the Golden Dragon sucked it in again, and sucked the Fire Dragon into its abdomen. The Golden Dragon shook his head and tail, majestic, with a look of contempt. He swept down the surroundings, seeing that there was no match in the world, and then lazily returned to Yang Kai's body. So far, the spirituality contained in that drop of dragon blood has been completely wiped out. At the same time that the spirituality of the fire dragon's blood was eliminated, Yang Kai's pressure was also greatly reduced. While activating the recovery effect of his own golden blood, repairing his own meridians and flesh and blood, he unscrupulously began to fuse the fire dragon's blood into every inch of his muscles, in every meridian. This is a job that tests the mind and patience. Yang Kai was not in a hurry, and proceeded in an orderly manner. I don't know how long it took before that drop of true dragon's blood was finally completely refined by Yang Kai. He slowly opened his eyes and stood up. Feeling it a little bit, the cultivation realm has not increased, but Yang Kai can clearly feel that he has become stronger. This kind of strength is not reflected in the flesh, but dragon transformation, Yang Kai shouted. In the blood, the power of the dragon's blood was suddenly stimulated, and the bones in both hands suddenly exploded, turning into two sharp dragon claws amidst a crackling sound. On the arm, pieces of dragon scales condensed from the source force gradually emerged. The dragon scales showed a fiery red color, and each piece seemed to contain the power of flames. Even affected by the power of dragon blood, the real dragon scale on the chest began to change. 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, 4 turned into 8. Yang Kai's whole body is like wearing a piece of dragon scale armor. He waved his hands, feeling the power continuously gushing out of his body, and smiled happily. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at woixiaowati. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2115. Chapter 2115. There is a different tree that is green. After refining the blood of the real dragon, the dragon transformation secret technique displayed is obviously different from before. The first difference is that it changed from a one-handed dragon claw to a two-handed dragon claw. The power of the dragon claw is invincible, enough to compete head-on with Yang Kai's secret treasure. The two-handed dragon claw is naturally more powerful than one-handed. The second significant difference is naturally the change of the dragon scales. Although the dragon scales on his arm were manifested by his own power before, they were not fiery red, but now there is a trace of fire dragon, which is obviously stronger. There is also the dragon scale armor manifested from the dragon scale on the chest, which is enough to provide Yang Kai with a strong defense. Just refining a drop of real dragon's blood has such a miraculous effect. If the dragon bone sword Dikyui is completely refined into the body, what will happen? Thinking of this, Yang Kai's heart became hot, and with a thought, he dispelled the dragon transformation secret technique and sat down cross-legged again. Refining dragon blood is relatively simple. It can be swallowed directly into the abdomen, but the dragon bone sword is different. It is a piece of dragon spine, and it cannot be processed in the same way. Fortunately, Yang Kai had roughly sacrificed it before, so he could take it into his body. So just take some time and slowly integrate it. Yang Kai didn't hesitate, and directly separated the two materials in the dragon bone sword, the dragon spine bone and the dragon ball, and blended them into the body separately, gradually refining them. The mysterious Shaoji was peaceful, and it passed by in a blink of an eye. During this month, people kept coming from Fenggalan City to visit Yang Kai. Mo Shaoqi came the most times, followed by Kong Saran, and of course the city lord's mansion, and Daoyuan of other families, ancestors. It's just that Zhang's mistress received Yang Kai's sound transmission, and was told that she was retreating and would not see any guests, so she could only bite the bullet and keep these guests outside. Mo Xiaoqi, Kong Saran, Duan Yuanshan, Qin Chaoyang and the others were all easy to talk to. When they heard that Yang Kai was retreating, they no longer forced them. Instead, they asked about Yang Kai's recent situation, and the Zhang family also talked to several Taoists after they came and went. Yuan Jing became familiar with him and got a lot of care. But the Daoyuanjing ancestors of other families didn't have a good face. One by one came here with great interest, wanting to win over Yang Kai, hire him as an elder or enshrine in the clan, but was stopped by an old woman at the first level of the Void King, and naturally felt left out. Although the old lady of the Zhang family and the beautiful woman were terrified, they could only explain with a smile. After several times, no one came here again. Fortunately, although these Daoyuanjing powerhouses are not happy with the Zhang family's hospitality, but with the protection of the city lord's mansion, they dare not make things difficult for them, a group of orphans and widowed mothers. Otherwise, with the current strength of the Zhang family, how can they Enron exists? A month later, Yang Kai left the customs safely. Everyone in the Zhang family got the news and came to see him one after another. After asking for warmth, the old woman said, "So that my lord will know that many people have come to visit my lord during this period of retreat." I see. Yang Kai didn't ask who it was, because he could guess. In addition, the storekeeper Kong of Dianfeng and the girl named Mo Xiaoqi left a jade slip for the lord. The old woman winked at Zhang Ruoxi while speaking. Zhang Ruoxi understood, handed over the 2 jade slips respectfully, and then stood beside Yang Kai, bowing her head. Yang Kai took the jade slips, picked up one of them, and after scanning with his spiritual sense, he smiled slightly and said, "Brother Kong was really transferred." Hearing this, the old lady of the Zhang family nodded and said, "Yes, my lord, shopkeeper Kong seems to have received an order from the headquarters of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce and left Fenggalan City half a month ago. Before leaving, shopkeeper Kong was still in my Zhang family for several days today. I want to see you for the last time, but unfortunately my lord has not left the seclusion. I will always see you again." Yang Kai smiled slightly. He had already guessed that Kong Saran would be transferred away. After all, Fenggalan City is still too small. If Kong Saran can be promoted to the level of Daoyuan realm, it is no longer suitable for him to stay in such a small place and manage a small shop. Ziwen Chamber of Commerce will definitely let him go. His place. Kong Saran is also involuntary. As a member of the Chamber of Commerce, he cannot disobey orders from the headquarters, unless he betrays the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, but if this happens, he may not have a foothold in the entire southern region. Before he left, shopkeeper Kong said that right now he doesn't know where he will eventually be transferred, and when it is confirmed, someone will send a message to the adults. Shopkeeper Kong also said that if the adults need it in the future, they will be notified at any time. Even if there are thousands of miles away, he will come to meet you and help you. It's just that he couldn't say goodbye to you in person. I'm sorry, and I hope you will understand." The old lady of the Zhang family replied. Yang Kai nodded, and Kong Saran had a heart. He is naturally grateful that his Daoyuan Dan has achieved his current cultivation level. Without saying anything, Yang Kai sank his spiritual mind into another jade slip, and after checking the information left in it, he couldn't help but be stunned. Xiaoqi is gone too. The information in the jade slip is very simple, only one sentence. "Damn brother Yang, you are still in seclusion. I won't be able to see you for the last time. I have to go. Aunt Feng is here to arrest me. If I don't leave, it will be too late." Mo Xiaoqi's origin is mysterious, but Yang Kai can guess that she is definitely of extraordinary background, but judging from the rumors she left in the jade slip, it seems that someone from the family wants to take her back. Yang Kai couldn't help imagining a scene. The rebellious girl ran away from home, was wandering outside, and was finally found, and the masters of the clan chased her for a while, and finally forced her to be captured obediently and was taken back. Poor little Chi. Yang Kai sighed. Although he sympathized with her, Yang Kai was not worried. Since it was her family who came to capture her and go back, it was impossible to hurt her. And, the so-called Aunt Feng, Yang Kai also heard Mo Xiaoqi mention it once, and felt that the relationship between the two was very close, because Mo Xiaoqi said that Aunt Feng had told her many stories and so on. It's only been more than a month of retreat, and unexpectedly, two friends left Fenglan City, and they were both forced to do nothing, which made Yang Kai feel a little bit about the impermanence of the world. After crushing two jade slips, Yang Kai looked at the old woman and said, "Besides this, is there anything else?" The old woman said, "Someone from the Qin family has sent a message. If your lord is finished with retreat, please move to the Qin family. It is said that your question has been answered." Oh, Yang Kai's eyes lit up, and he said happily, "Okay, I'll go to the Qin family to have a look." While speaking, he stood up. Zhang Ruoxi hurriedly said, "Sir, do you want me to go with you?" Yang Kai Dao, "No need, you stay in the clan to practice." Then, "Sir, go slowly." Zhang Ruoxi's eyes flashed a gloomy look, but thinking of what happened after she touched the ethereal jade last time, a fighting spirit surged deep in her heart. The cultivation level is not enough, there is no way to help Yang Kai, only the improvement of the cultivation level can help Yang Kai unlock the secret of the ethereal jade. In the hall, Yang Kai took a step forward. Before the footsteps fell, the figure had already disappeared in a flash. In a short time, he had arrived at the Qin family in Fenglan City. This time he didn't go in directly, but stood outside and let out his divine thoughts. In the next moment, Qin Zhaoyang's laughter came from inside the Qin family. "Brother Yang, you have passed the customs." As the voice fell, Qin Zhaoyang's figure had appeared in Yang Kai's field of vision. Like a gust of wind and lightning, he quickly rushed to Yang Kai, and after examining Yang Kai up and down, his eyes narrowed and said, "Brother Yang is retreating this time. It seems to have gained a lot. I can't tell why, although Yang Kai's cultivation level has not improved at all, it seems to be much stronger than before, and his aura is also much stronger." Qin Chaoyang immediately understood that Yang Kai should have practiced some secret technique during the more than 1 month of retreat. He didn't get to the bottom of it, and he didn't even wait for Yang Kai to answer, so he enthusiastically said, "Come, come, please come in." Yang Kai smiled slightly, and followed Qin Chaoyang into the Qin family. Passing along the road, all members of the Qin family bowed solemnly, not daring to neglect in the slightest. Contrary to Yang Kai's expectation, Qin Chaoyang did not take him to the main hall, but went directly to the direction where the secret room was located. When he came to the secret room, Qin Chaoyang laughed softly. "Brother Yang, I know you asked Yuer a question before, and Yuer seems to have found the answer, so you are inside now. You go in and have a detailed discussion with Yuer. When it's safe, the old man will come to talk to you again." "Well, I have to tell Brother Yang first, what questions did you ask Yuer?" But Yuer kept his mouth shut and didn't tell the old man anything. "I trust Miss Qin." Yang Kai nodded lightly, pushed the door open and entered. It was still the secret room before. Qin Yu seemed to have been waiting for a long time. Seeing Yang Kai coming in, he quickly got up and saluted. "Miss Qin, you are welcome, you are not an outsider." Yang Kai waved his hand. "Rights cannot be discarded." Qin Yu smiled slightly. Yang Kai glanced at her with a smile. His complexion suddenly became a little weird. His eyes stayed on her face for a few breaths. His brows were slightly wrinkled, as if he had discovered something. Qin Yu didn't realize it at all, but said, "My lord asked the little girl before, what is the gold and silver two-colored tree?" The little girl has been looking through the classics left by her ancestors these days, and finally found the source. "Let's hear it." Yang Kai suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked unhurriedly. "Before that, the little girl has a question I want to ask my lord." Qin Yu said. "What?" In the picture that the adults saw, did the gold and silver two-color tree show any strange power? "Why do you ask that?" Yang Kai frowned slightly. Qin Yu said, "The heaven and the earth were just opened, the majesty was chaotic, the time and space were unstable, and there were different trees as green, which came into being at the right time. With the power of yin and yang chaos, the four poles were sealed, the void was suppressed, one side of the world was locked, and the four seas were trapped." Qin Yu's voice was low and blurred, and when he said these words, there was a silver light flickering in his eyes, which seemed extremely mysterious. It wasn't until the great powers showed their supernatural powers, broke the blockage of the void, broke the hardships of the cage, cut the green trees in the sky. The tide of the power of heaven and earth surged for the first time. In that ancient era, countless powerful and strange men emerged one after another. Show off your supernatural powers and compete for male and female. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2116 Heaven and Earth's Body Cutting in Misfortune. Different tree Kang, lock the four poles, suppress the void. Yang Kai's eyes narrowed. Qin Yu nodded and said, according to the classics, the Kang tree takes root in the void, and the chaotic power of yin and yang permeates the heaven and the earth, trapping the power of the heaven and the earth. So amazing. Yang Kai was shocked. Qin Yu smiled slightly, and said, it's just a record, and it's impossible to verify whether it's true or not. However, what the Lord described before is somewhat similar to the Kangshu. Maybe it has something to do with the Kangshu. The question you asked me earlier. The Kang tree is the tree that seals the world, and the power of yin and yang chaos has great power. If the different tree shows the power of sealing in the picture that your Lord has seen, then the Kang tree probably really exists. Hearing this, Yang Kai was shocked. The gold and silver two-color different trees planted in mysterious Shaoji, don't they show the power of the seal? Even the evil thoughts and evil energy of the ancient troll were sealed in his abdomen by the gold and silver power, which shows that it does have a great relationship with the legendary green tree. The chaotic power of yin and yang of Kangshu has the power to seal everything. Qin Yu continued, it's no wonder that this thing appeared in the remaining will of the ancient troll. It's probably extremely afraid of the power of the seal, so even after countless years, I can still remember this thing. It should be like this. Yang Kai nodded in agreement, and Qin Yu was happy to misunderstand. My lord entrusted me, luckily I did not disgrace my life. I don't know if my lord is satisfied with the little girl's explanation. Qin Yu asked with a smile. Miss Qin is knowledgeable about ancient and modern times, and Yang admires her. I am very satisfied with this explanation. Your Excellency's absurd praise. Qin Yu blushed slightly, paused, and said, well, the ancestor seems to have something to discuss with your Excellency, so Yuer is leaving for the time being. As she spoke, she opened the barrier of the secret room, turned around and walked outside. When he walked to the door, Qin Yu suddenly stopped and turned around and said, my lord, what the ancestor said. If you find it difficult, you can just say no, don't worry too much. After finishing speaking, without waiting for Yang Kai to react, he opened the door and walked out. Yang Kai frowned and stood there, not knowing what Qin Yu wanted to express in the last sentence, but from the meaning revealed in her words, Qin Zhaoyang seemed to want to help himself. For this point, Yang Kai had already been mentally prepared, and Qin Zhaoyang had already hinted to him in advance last time. Now it seems that this favor. I'm afraid it's not very easy to help. A moment after Qin Yu left, Qin Zhaoyang pushed the door open and entered. Old Mr. Qin. Yang Kai smiled at him. Brother Yang. Qin Zhaoyang seemed to be preoccupied, and said absently, sit down and talk. After taking his seat, Qin Zhaoyang didn't speak again, but frowned, as if he was considering his words in his heart. Seeing this, Yang Kai took the initiative to open the chatterbox and said, Mr. Qin, I see Miss Qin's shape and aura, is there something wrong with her body? Qin Zhaoyang sighed. Yuer's health has not been very good, Brother Yang must have noticed it long ago, before this old man used his strength every day to stabilize her health, but this time. What's wrong with Miss Qin's body? Yang Kai asked. He instinctively felt that Qin Yu should be responsible for Qin Zhaoyang's health this time. Since Brother Yang asked, I'll just say it straight. Qin Zhaoyang gritted his teeth and said, Yuer is uniquely gifted, and she was born with the supernatural power of Good Fortune Sky Eye. Good Fortune Sky Pupil. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. A kind of pupil technique, what power does it have? Yuer's cultivation base is too low, and he is young, and the old man has not studied it thoroughly. What Yuer is showing now seems to be able to see people's luck and future. Insight into the illusion. This is a very useful supernatural power. Yang Kai was a little surprised. Qin Yu possessed the pupil technique. Yang Kai had already guessed that this little girl had shown her innate supernatural powers in front of him more than once, but Yang Kai didn't know what the pupil technique was called and what ability it had. Listen to Qin Yu with Zhaoyang's explanation, he finally understood. It's fine if it's just Good Fortune Sky Pupils. This gifted supernatural power doesn't do much harm to Yuer itself, but it will add some burden to her body every time she uses it. But Yuer not only has Good Fortune Sky Pupils, but also heaven and earth cut off. Tiandi cut off. Yang Kai frowned. Qin Zhaoyang nodded. When Yuer was 5 years old, an expert in Fenggalan City passed by, and he saw that Yuer's physique was different from ordinary people, so he made a little investigation. It was this expert who told the old man that Yuer with the responsibility of heaven and earth, otherwise the old man would not know so clearly. What's the harm in robbing the body in this world? Qin Zhaoyang sighed. Tiandi's body is a special kind of physique. The expert said that as long as the person who is in charge of Tiandi is still in this world, his vitality will be cut off by heaven and earth, and he will not live beyond 10 years. 8 years old. 18. Yang Kai's expression changed slightly. He said in shock, "May I ask how old Miss Yuer is this year?" "In 8 more months, it will be 18. Qin Zhaoyang's face was gloomy. "Doesn't this mean," Yang Kai whispered, "Miss Yuer can only live for another 8 months?" "That's right." Qin Zhaoyang nodded heavily. Yang Kai stayed for 1. Generally speaking, a person born with a special physique is blessed by heaven and earth, and Qin Yu is not only born with a special physique, but also possesses such innate magical powers as the good fortune sky eye, which is a rare chance among thousands of people. It's just a pity, it was not a good physique to cut her body that day, and it cut off her vitality. No wonder when I saw Qin Yu just now, I felt that her breath was a little weak. It turned out that the deadline was approaching. She has the heavenly eyes of creation, who can survey the future. She may not be unable to see where her end is, but she doesn't seem to show any panic at all. Thinking of this, Yang Kai felt admiration from the bottom of his heart, but not everyone can be so calm and indifferent when facing death. Mr. Qin's secret conversation with me should be for Miss Qin, right? If I can help you, Mr. Qin, just ask. Yang Kai said seriously. Brother Yang is really willing to help. Qin Chaoyang was overjoyed seeing Yang Kai mentioning it. Although I don't have much contact with Miss Qin, I still need her to clear up my doubts. I don't want to see her die young. Thank you, Brother Yang. Qin Zhaoyang suddenly stood up and gave Yang Kai a serious salute. Old Mr. Qin doesn't have to be like this. Yang Kai smiled bitterly. Qin Chaoyang said, I want Brother Yang to know that the help this time is not so easy to help. Although there is no danger of death, it is definitely not an easy task. If Brother Yang wants to refuse, I can understand it. It will never be forced. Yang Kai smiled slightly, and said, it's really dangerous. Let's listen to Mr. Qin. Qin Zhaoyang nodded, and said, that expert not only checked Yuer's physique back then, but also told the old man the solution, that is, to find a kind of strange thing in the world, the fruit of calamity. As long as Yuer give her this kind of thing called the fruit of calamity before she turns 18, and she will be able to survive the crisis safely. Not only will she grow up steadily in the future, but also the true power of heaven and earth will explode, making her future bright easy way. Calamity is hard to come by. Yang Kai was startled. Brother Yang, have you heard of it? Qin Zhaoyang looked at him in astonishment. I heard. If it was Yang Kai a year ago, he might not have heard of this kind of thing, but since he got the inheritance of Gongsunmu's jade slips at the bottom of Yuanding Mountain, he naturally knows all about the strange flowers and fruits of the entire star world, clearly in the chest. It is indeed recorded in the jade slips left by Gongsunmu that disasters are difficult to come to fruition. It is the main material for refining a kind of panacea called Yuan pill. That Yuan pill is not a good medicine, it is barely a poison. It is colorless, odorless, and lightly soluble in water. Even if a strong emperor accidentally swallows it, the internal energy in the body will be completely frozen, and it will become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered without any resistance. It's just, who would drink water if the emperor is strong? So although this kind of panacea is powerful, it is basically useless, and it is considered a tasteless thing. Yuan pill is a poison pill, and the raw materials used to refine the poison are obviously extremely toxic. Tiandi Jushin actually needs this kind of poisonous fruit to get rid of it, and it feels like fighting poison with poison. In this regard, it is inconvenient for Yang Kai to express his opinion, because he cannot determine whether the fruit of calamity is really useful to Qin Yu. It's just, the calamity fruit grows in extremely cold places, perhaps under the 10,000-year-old ice layer, and it is extremely difficult to see. I forgot, Brother Yang is still an alchemist. Qin Zhaoyang seemed to have remembered something, and smiled slightly. Back then when the expert asked him to look for the fruit of misfortune, he spent a lot of effort to find out the shape and effect of the fruit, but he didn't expect to know all about it when he came to Yang Kai. Since the expert said so, has he told you where there is this kind of spiritual fruit? Yang Kai asked. Qin Zhaoyang whispered, Land of the Four Seasons. What is that place? Qin Zhaoyang gave Yang Kai a weird look, and said, the Land of Four Seasons is the most famous secret realm in the entire southern region. Every time the Land of Four Seasons is opened, countless elite disciples from various sects will enter it, looking for geniuses, land treasures and all kinds of opportunities. Yang Kai's face turned pale, knowing that he was acting ignorant again, and said, since it is a secret realm belonging to the southern territory, doesn't it mean that everyone can enter? Qin Zhaoyang smiled wryly and said, if that's the case, that would be great. It's just that since ancient times, the secret realm of 4 seasons has been controlled by the great sects of the southern region, and each sect has a specific number of disciples to enter. Like our Fengdalan city, there was no chance of getting in. What should I do? Yang Kai frowned. Use this. Qin Zhaoyang reached out and took out a token from his bosom while speaking. When the token was taken out, Qin Zhaoyang's old face turned slightly red. Yang Kai took it suspiciously, only glanced at it, then his body shook violently, the corner of his mouth twitched and said, Brother Qin, where did you get this thing? You are so old and disrespectful, does your yuer know? To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2117 Jade Girl Beggar Order. The token that Qin Zhaoyang handed over to Yang Kai is no exception. There are no words on the token, but a painting on the front, a lifelike painting, and a painting of a jade girl coming out of water. Although the lines of the pattern are rigid, at first glance, the jade girl on the front of the token seems to have a life of her own, slowly getting up from the bathing water in the clear pool. Her delicate body has beautiful lines, which arouses people's imagination, and her facial features exquisite and lovely. The private parts of the upper body are looming under the cover of splashing water droplets and hair. The most important thing is that her lower body is not covered with any strands, and the mysterious place between her beautiful legs and lower abdomen is soaked under the water surface, which makes people invisible and itchy. People can't help but want to drag her out of the token with Zongshou, and take a peek at what's going on. Damn it! Yang Kai stared at it for a while, then yelled. His interest was ruined to the extreme. The guy who drew this painting had an absolutely dark heart, but he was well versed in the heart of a man, and he did it deliberately, which made people hate it. Yang Kai turned to the back again, and it was also a painting. On the painting is a disheveled, ragged, curled up on the ground, with a broken bowl in front of it, and there is nothing in the bowl. It was an image of a beggar. It gives people 2 completely opposite impressions from the frontal statue of the jade girl coming out of the water. Looking at this image, Yang Kai seemed to be able to feel the cold wind coming, and saw the shivering appearance of the beggar. This beggar. Yang Kai frowned and muttered to himself, it looks like a person. When he said this, a wretched figure involuntarily popped up in his mind. That expert gave it to me. Qin Zhaoyang explained weakly from the side. Brother Qin, are you sure that person is an expert, not a liar? Yang Kai looked at him in amazement, and said, the material of this token looks like an ordinary piece of wood, right? Although the portrait must have come from an expert, but what kind of expert is so childish? This is not an ordinary piece of wood. Qin Zhaoyang said seriously, I've checked it carefully, it's a piece of century-old elm. Is there a difference? Yang Kai said. The corner of Qin Zhaoyang's mouth twitched, and he said, there seems to be no difference. Any token must be a symbol of authority, a replacement of identity, and a manifestation of strength, so the forging of tokens is definitely not the century-old elm that can be seen everywhere, such as the Dragon Island token in Yang Kai's hand. What is that material? Yang Kai can't recognize it at all. But the material of the Jade Girl Beggar Order, in his hand is actually an ordinary thing. This made Yang Kai suspicious, feeling that Qin Zhaoyang had been deceived by something. Brother Yang, I know what you're thinking. Qin Zhaoyang said in a deep voice, but you can try to crush this token. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, Brother Qin really wants me to do this. What if it breaks? That means the old man was really deceived, and it's not a pity if it breaks. Yang Kai nodded and said, okay, then I will try. As soon as the words fell, he had already clenched the token in his hand and urged forcefully. There was a clicking sound. Yang Kai's face suddenly changed, but Qin Zhaoyang showed a smiling expression, as if he had expected it. The sound that came out was not the movement of the token being crushed, but the sound of Yang Kai's finger joints. The token was held by him suddenly, but it was safe and sound. How come? Yang Kai's eyes widened, a look of disbelief. The material of the token is very common wood at first glance, it is not a special genius treasure, and it is unscathed under my own brute force. Yang Kai incredulously increased his strength, but no matter how hard he tried, the token was not damaged at all, not even deformed. Brother Yang, can you confirm it now? That is really a master. Qin Zhaoyang looked at Yang Kai with a smile. I have doubted it many times over the years, but no matter what method I use, didn't destroy this token. If not, where would the old man take it out? This is indeed an expert. Yang Kai was shocked. I don't know what kind of power that mysterious expert blessed this token to make this ordinary wood hard and indestructible. It is impossible for ordinary emperors to achieve this level. At this point, Yang Kai had no more doubts, and solemnly handed the token back to Qin Zhaoyang, asking, with this token, how can I enter the land of 4 seasons? Qin Zhaoyang said. The expert said, let me go to the Qingyang temple and ask for a place to enter the Qingyang temple. So that's it. Yang Kai revealed a clear expression. The Qingyang temple can be regarded as a first-class sect in the southern region. No matter in terms of strength or prestige, it is only below the Star God Palace. There must be many places in such a sect. Qin Zhaoyang holds this. It makes sense to exchange tokens for one of them. I just don't know what relationship the owner of this token has with Qingyang temple. Is the land of 4 seasons about to open? Yang Kai asked. It should be. Qin Zhaoyang nodded, pondered for a while, and said, the old man suspects that all of this was expected by the expert. When Yuer was 5 years old, he gave me the token and told me I will go to Qingyang temple 12 years later. I don't know if the land of 4 seasons is about to open. After all, we in Fenggalan City don't get any news about this kind of thing. But now it seems that it should be like this. Brother Qin wants me to go to the land of the 4 seasons for you, to find the fruit of the calamity. Qin Zhaoyang smiled wryly and said, if this old man has half the strength of young brother Yang, I won't bother you, but this old man knows his own situation. Even though he is still in Daoyuan realm, he is still far behind those elite sects. The words in it, I'm afraid I won't be able to come out alive. It doesn't matter if I die, but Yuer. I can only ask you for this matter. When are you leaving? Yang Kai asked bluntly. Qin Zhaoyang said in astonishment, Brother Yang, did you agree? Yang Kai grinned. Why don't you agree? Since old brother Qin is willing to provide me with this rare opportunity, how can I not make good use of it? I also want to go and see the secret place in the southern territory. Having said that, Yang Kai showed yearning. This time, Qin Zhaoyang entrusted him to enter the land of 4 seasons to find the fruit of calamity, but if you think about it in another way, it is a chance. The elite disciples of the various sects are scrambling to enter the secret realm. Obviously there are many good things in it. Not to mention the treasures of genius hidden in it. Just the countless handsome young men are worthy of Yang Kai's peeping. This is an excellent opportunity to test his own strength. Great. Qin Zhaoyang didn't expect Yang Kai to agree so readily. He was worried that Yang Kai would refuse, but he didn't expect him to persuade him at all. He was delighted and said excitedly, because I don't know the 4 seasons. When will the land be opened? But it may change later. If Brother Yang is fine, how about we start tomorrow? It will take more than 10 days to go to the Qingyang temple. Okay. Yang Kai nodded, got up and said, then I will go back and prepare first, and I will come to you tomorrow. That *sa deal. After a while, Yang Kai left the Qin family and returned to the Zhang family. And not long after Yang Kai left, Qin Yu suddenly came to the secret room again, looked at Qin Zhaoyang's face, and then he had some insight, and asked in a low voice, Old ancestor, Master Yang. He agreed. I agreed very readily. Qin Zhaoyang said happily, I don't need to say anything more. Brother Yang is really a happy person. Did the ancestor tell him about the risk of entering it? It's perfectly normal to kill people and seize treasures there. No one will stop the open and secret fights between the disciples of the major sects. Although Master Yang is powerful, but after all, only Daoyuan first-level cultivation base, in case. Hearing the words, Qin Zhaoyang fell into silence, and said after a while, I don't think Brother Yang is short-lived. When did the ancestor know how to look at people's appearance? Qin Yu gritted his teeth. Qin Zhaoyang's face turned pale, and he said helplessly, this is also a helpless way. In Fenggalan City, my Qin family has no trustworthy people, and I can't think of anyone else except Brother Yang, or B. Patriarch going by himself. Qin Yu's face darkened, and said, if the ancestor goes there in person, I'm afraid he really won't be able to come back. My Qin family has just taken over the Zhang family's property. Once you leave, who can maintain the current situation? After a pause, she said again, that's all, Patriarch, give him my Qin family's million sword and how to use it. Million sword. Qin Zhaoyang's face changed greatly when he heard the words, Yuer, that was left by my ancestor of the Qin family. Yuer knows that the $1,000,000 sword is of great importance, but now no one in my Qin family can control this emperor's treasure. Although Master Yang's cultivation base is a bit short, I think he can show a little bit with his strength. The power of 1,000,000 swords may be able to help him in the land of 4 seasons, turning dangers into good fortune. Since Master Yang is willing to take risks for my Qin family alone, my Qin family can't say nothing. If this is the case, I'm uneasy. You've already said that. Forget it, when he comes tomorrow, I'll give him the 1,000,000 sword. I hope he can understand your painstaking efforts. Qin Zhaoyang sighed and finally compromised. Yang Kai returned to the Zhang family all the way, only explained some things to Zhang Ruoxi, told him that he would go out for a while, and let her cultivate in the clan. Zhang Ruoxi showed reluctance, but she agreed without saying anything, but Yang Kai could see that this little girl seemed to be holding back a lot of energy, and she wanted to retreat and improve her cultivation realm with all her heart. After thinking about it, Yang Kai changed his mind and said, "Do you want to come with me?" "Sir, would you take me with you?" Zhang Ruoxi asked pleasantly, her beautiful eyes lit up. "It's okay to take you, but you can't follow me," Yang Kai said. "Sir, I'm confused." Zhang Ruoxi showed doubts. Yang Kai smiled slightly, and with a wave of Zhang's hand, Yuanli wrapped her around her, and with Zhang Ruoxi's exclamation, she went directly into mysterious Shaoji. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Woai Xiaowati. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2118 Woman in Red. The next day, Yang Kai came to the Qin family early. Qin Chaoyang was also well prepared. Seeing Yang Kai coming here, he was naturally overjoyed, and after exchanging pleasantries, he said to Yang Kai, "Brother Yang, before leaving, I have something to deliver to you." "What?" Yang Kai asked. Qin Zhaoyang gestured to the side, and Qin Yu, who had been waiting for a long time, held a wooden box in both hands, walked slowly, and stood still in front of Yang Kai, looking at him with a smile. Yang Kai glanced at the wooden box, and found that the wooden box was long, about 4 feet, the material of the wooden box was unusual, and some mysterious and miraculous patterns were engraved on the box. But inside the wooden box, there is a distinctive energy fluctuation transmitted. Huh, Yang Kai frowned, instinctively feeling that the things in the wooden box were not trivial. Looking at Qin Chaoyang, the latter nodded to him to open it and take a look. Yang Kai didn't hesitate, and directly reached out to open the wooden box. A sword light came out leisurely, the dazzling Yang Kai narrowed his eyes, and when he saw the contents of the box, he couldn't help saying in surprise, "This is..." Saying so, he stretched out his hand, took out a long sword from the wooden box, and whispered, "Dabao." This long sword is more than 3 feet wide, 4 fingers wide, the blade is thick and heavy, the front and back are clean, only 2 small characters are engraved on the hilt. "Million. With one sword, you can block millions. Here comes the 1,000,000 swords left by the ancestors of my Qin family." Qin Zhaoyang explained with a solemn expression. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. 1,000,000 sword. What a domineering name. While speaking, the blade of the sword soared to the sky, and when the source force was urged, the long sword hummed, and the blade trembled. As if the heroic spirit who had been sleeping for countless years was awakened again, a halo circulated on the sword body, and the sword chi sizzled. Seeing this admiration, Qin Zhaoyang's eyes narrowed slightly, he was a little disappointed and a little shocked and said, "Brother Yang's strength is indeed incomparable to this old man, and he can arouse the power of this sword without sacrifice. After all, this is an emperor's treasure. Even if it has been sleeping for countless years, it is definitely not something that can be stimulated by ordinary Daoyuan. Even if Qin Zhaoyang pours all his own source power into the sword, it may not be able to cause any movement." What surprised Qin Chaoyang even more was that Yang Kai didn't show any surprise or excitement when he learned that this was the emperor treasure, as if in his eyes, it was just an ordinary thing. "Brother Qin, what do you mean?" Yang Kai casually took a few sword flowers and turned to look at Qin Zhaoyang. Qin Zhaoyang smiled slightly, and said, "If you want the horse to run, you have to let the horse eat grass." Without saying a word, Qin Yu gave him a reproachful look. "A slip of the tongue, a slip of the tongue." Qin Zhaoyang looked embarrassed, and said seriously, "Brother Yang, use this sword for self-defense, the land of the 4 seasons is not a peaceful place." Yang Kai Dao, "Brother Qin is not afraid that I will run away with it." Qin Yu said from the side, "If Lord Yang really did this, it would be his honor." This sword sutra was passed down to my Qin family's generation, and it has been buried for countless years. I think it also hopes to find a better sword. Good master, start a new journey and show your brilliance. Yang Kai glanced at her, thinking to himself that the little girl is a ghost, and she is quite good at chatting. But if Qin Yu said this, even if he had the heart, he would be embarrassed to take it away. What's more, he didn't even think about keeping it for himself. Although Dabao is rare, it is not that he does not have none in his hands, there are more than one. After pondering for a while, Yang Kai said, I have accepted the million sword for the time being, and will return it to your Qin family after leaving the land of 4 seasons. Qin Yu pursed his lips and smiled, and handed over another jade slip, saying, this is the secret method of refining a million swords left by our ancestors, maybe it can help Master Yang. Yang Kai nodded and took it. Without looking at it carefully, he directly put the jade slip and the million sword into the space ring. Then, let's go. Qin Zhaoyang waved his hand. Yang Kai nodded and galloped out together with him. Master Yang, Qin Yu shouted from behind, your safety is the most important thing in everything. Yang Kaido didn't reply, he just waved his hand from afar. After leaving Fenggalan City, Yang Kai directly sacrificed the secret treasure of the boat from Feixiong Palace, and after going up with Qin Chaoyang, he urged the power of the secret treasure to gallop forward. Fenggalan City originally had a space magic circle, but after the last time the city was besieged by demonic energy, it was completely destroyed by the drunken man, and it could not be rebuilt in a short time. This matter must be reported to Xingshan Palace or other major sects, asking them to send someone to arrange it. Of course, Yang Kai can help, but he is not willing to do so. My current strength is still low, and the less people know about such things as being proficient in space power, the better. The building boat flew away at an extremely fast speed, and Yang Kai and Qin Chaoyang took turns to control the direction, which was not too hard. On the way, Qin Zhaoyang found time to tell Yang Kai the details of the land of 4 seasons, as well as some things that need attention, and Yang Kai kept them in mind. According to Qin Zhaoyang, the entrance to the land of 4 seasons is in a valley in the southern region, and it will open itself every once in a while, and the time limit for each opening is only 33 days. 33 days once it passes, all foreign warriors will be repelled by the power of the secret realm and sent out. The reason why the land of 4 seasons is called the land of 4 seasons is because the environment there is extremely strange, divided into 4 major areas, corresponding to the seasons of spring, summer, autumn and winter. The spring area is full of birds and flowers, the summer area is scorching sun all the year round, and the autumn area is cool. The air is refreshing, and the winter land is covered with snow. In the land of 4 seasons, there are many geniuses, land treasures and spiritual herbs that are rare in the star world, and there are even some other opportunities. When disciples from various sects enter it, they can target a certain amount of medicine according to their own cultivation methods and needs. An area to search for. And since Yang Kai is going to find the fruit of calamity, he will naturally go to the winter realm, because only the cold environment of the winter realm is suitable for the growth of this kind of spiritual fruit. The opening of the secret land of the 4 seasons is not only an opportunity for the major sects in the southern region to obtain rare resources, but also an opportunity for them to compete secretly. Therefore, they will let their disciples fight and kill in it to test their cultivation achievements. For this reason, even if the disciples sent by the major sects are not the top, they are all elite. Every battle is unimaginably fierce, and the casualty rate often exceeds 40%. Qin Zhaoyang was not from any great sect, nor had he entered the land of the 4 seasons. Everything he knew was what Qin Yu recorded and observed from various classics, or information passed on by word of mouth. So if Yang Kai really entered it at that time, the specific situation would have to be judged by him. It's been safe and sound all the way. Apart from chatting with Qin Chaoyang, Yang Kai was comprehending the jade slips that sacrificed millions of swords. It also gained something. Although he has a lot of emperor treasures in his hand, the million sword is a sword weapon after all, and it is even more an emperor treasure. After comprehending the sacrificial practice, he may have other insights. 5 days later, over a wilderness, a building boat flew by rapidly. Yang Kai, who was sitting in one of the wing rooms and practicing the million sword, seemed to feel something. His heart beat suddenly in his chest, he suddenly opened his eyes, and looked at a certain place in the void. And then, Qin Chaoyang also seemed to have discovered something, and the control ship suddenly stopped in midair. Immediately, Qin Zhaoyang's shout came from the front. Dare to ask who is your excellency, why did you block my way? When he was shouting, Yang Kai had already rushed over from behind, fixed his eyes and looked forward, only to see a fiery red figure facing away from the direction he was walking 100 feet in front of the building boat. The figure was like a burning flame. Although the face could not be seen clearly, judging from the good figure and hip-length hair, this person was obviously a woman. "What's the situation?" Yang Kai asked in a low voice. Qin Chaoyang shook his head. "This woman suddenly appeared in front of me, I don't know if she was here in the first place or what." Unfathomable. Yang Kai's spiritual sense swept over there, and his face changed slightly. Because when his divine sense swept across, there was no one there. If he could not see the figure of the woman in red with his eyes, he might not be able to find it at all. "This is Emperor Prestige Realm," Qin Zhaoyang exclaimed in surprise. A chill suddenly emerged from the bottom of his heart. "And it's not an ordinary Emperor Senior Realm." Yang Kai swallowed his saliva. When he was haunted by evil thoughts, he fought against the 3 first-level emperors, and he knew the details of the first-level emperors to some extent, but the woman in red gave him the feeling that the 3 teaming up can't keep up. In other words, the woman in red is at least a 2nd-level Emperor Senior, and, most likely, a 3rd-level Emperor Senior. Thinking of this, Yang Kai's heart sank. No matter what this woman is doing standing in front of her right now, if it makes her unhappy, I'm afraid that I and Qin Zhaoyang will have to explain here. "Yang, brother Yang, do you recognize her?" "How could I recognize it?" Yang Kai pouted. After thinking for a while, he raised his voice and said, "Dare to ask this lord's name, why is he blocking the front?" As soon as he shouted, the woman turned half of her body slowly and looked sideways. Chong nose and red lips, picturesque eyebrows, blue hair flying, graceful figure, crisp breasts and straight, skin that can be broken by blowing bombs, white as snow, not stained with dust. Especially those water-cut eyes, as if they can talk, are so loved by her. At first glance, as old as Qin Chaoyang, he couldn't help but stare blankly, slightly lost in thought for this woman's beauty. "It's really slow," the woman muttered softly. Although Yang Kai and Qin Chaoyang's cultivation base is not low and their hearing is good, they just didn't hear her words, and they don't know if she used some mysterious power. After finishing speaking, the corner of the woman in red raised her mouth, and looked towards the building with a half-smile. Yang Kai suddenly froze. For no reason, he actually felt that the woman's eyes were piercing through the void and the obstacle of the building, and fell directly on him. Think about it, when did I meet this woman, and where did I offend her? To be continued, this text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at Wei Hi Sheng Sheng. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my greatest motivation.